Hey, hey,
You shall not pass.
hey. Happy New Year.
What's Tater's habits?
Oh, boy. You know, potatoes. Cut them up, boil
Man,
them up, mash them. Or what's he say? Cut them, mash them, boil them in a stew. That's what he says.
uh-huh. And people's like, I let them raw and something
Wriggly.
like that. Dude,
That's
I
fun.
can't believe it's been
I love
20
it.
years, man. It's been 20 years since the third one came out.
Yeah, it's pretty nuts.
I worked in a movie
Um,
theater for all three of them. I'll never forget, dude. The third one was so long. I
how
think
long was it?
I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure the third one was either 3 hours and 10 minutes or 3 hours and 20.
Okay,
And
you're off your game. First off, you're in the subject of what we're going to talk about. So just
oh,
hold
okay, well,
on.
okay, well,
Because we got to welcome people to the show.
oh, okay, yeah.
And Corey was here first. Look at that. First.
First,
Awesome. That's like a
hell,
first. That's a first for the first. Welcome, welcome. And we got Crazy Mad here too. So
hell.
now I know this is a Thursday, so we're probably not going to have our normal guys. I mean, might have a few of
Oh,
them.
you think no Mo?
I don't know. We'll see what happens. It's an odd day for everybody. We pushed it. So may happen, may not happen. So we'll see what happens.
Does Mo have Twitter?
No, I don't think so.
So how does he know when a show gets changed or not?
The notifications on YouTube,
Okay.
as far as I know. So we got a few things to go over tonight, though. We're going to talk some Lord of the Rings because it's the 20-year anniversary,
Mm-hmm.
and we got some art to show off. I'm going to draw a little bit tonight. We got some cool stuff happening, so I think it'll be fun. But yeah, I'll let you get back to Lord of the Rings because that's kind of where you left off. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I thought we better
Well,
get the show started.
well, I say let's do the question of the week before we get back into Lord of the
Okay.
Rings. Then.
Okay, let's do it. Question of the week.
This is the easiest one ever. Xmas or Thanksgiving? Are you kidding me? Christmas is way better than Thanksgiving.
Damn, no, not for everybody, man. That's not
What do you
true.
mean not for everybody?
No, sometimes Christmas is like one of the worst holidays. Like suicide's so high during that time of year.
Oh my god.
I thought you knew this.
No, I do know that. But I didn't
Okay.
think that was a point of the question of the
Well,
week.
it's not always good for everybody. You're like, it's always better. And it's like not for everybody. I mean, I think sometimes eating is like one of the best things you can do.
Sure,
And
but I think Christmas has as good of meals as Thanksgiving. Like, man, all the different
I
like
don't
Christmas
I'll
cookies.
take this. I'll tell you what, I think sometimes Christmas does not have as good of a meal as Thanksgiving. It just depends, but sometimes it can, but it depends if uh like if your family's willing to break traditions. You know what I mean?
I mean, what's a normal Christmas meal?
Well, usually
I get
like a
really
ham because a lot of
see,
people
I
do
get
turkey on
expensive meat.
Thanksgiving, ham on Christmas.
I get like really expensive meat for Christmas.
Well, so we started doing that. So my in-laws, they were getting steak, and then we did brisket and stuff like that. So whenever you do those things, it's like, oh
Yeah,
man, Christmas is awesome, you know.
yeah.
But you got to be able to change. Um, I just remember growing up, my mom would always want to do a ham, and I hated Christmas meals because I hate ham. I'm not a ham fan,
No, I'm not
and
either.
so yeah, so that was never my favorite. Thanksgiving's way better, all the food, none of the spending. Yeah, and Christmas you may open gifts that you hate, so that makes the thing like real weird.
Yeah, but I like shopping for people. Like I like getting people gifts. So
Yeah, I do too. When I have the money to do it though, and that's the hard
sure,
part. That's the hard part. So
I
I
do. I get what he's saying though. Like Thanksgiving is easier.
yeah.
It is way easier.
Yeah, you just go eat and stuff yourself. You get to fall asleep, watch some football. I mean, it's a
Yeah.
chill day. You know what I mean?
I just think with Christmas, I get so much more days off from work with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Christmas is better for the holidays as a season because you get more time. There's more going on. That's for sure. I don't know, man. As far as my favorite, though, I'd probably take Thanksgiving a little bit higher than Christmas.
Oh, that's nuts to me.
But I love Christmas. So, I mean, I don't know.
Dude, I feel like Thanksgiving, I only celebrate it the Thanksgiving week, where Christmas, I celebrate it for the whole month, like watching different Christmas movies.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, the season is good. It is. But it's from Thanksgiving that starts happening. You know, that Thanksgiving is the kickoff to Christmas.
Yeah. But like you get
So,
decorations with Christmas music. Like other than the meal, Thanksgiving, I guess football and the meal is all Thanksgiving's got to it.
right.
So it is
Right.
much easier. But I feel because of that, there's not as much of enjoyment.
Yeah, that's true. Well, hey, before we get going,
Hey,
let's show off some new art for Ballad of the
you
Celestials. Look at that. Whole
show
page
it.
right there. What?
I said, show it.
So we got
What
some
should you
new
put your
stuff.
camera? Why don't you put your camera on?
Okay. Solo.
Solo. We're going solo. Going solo.
Bum, bum, bum.
What? This doesn't make sense.
Nope, it doesn't. Hang on a minute.
What are you? Why are you such a boomer?
I'm trying to
What is
switch.
going-
Look at that. That's good.
Wait. No, it's not.
But it's not going to
Wait a
show the
minute.
page all the way anyway, so it's okay.
Wait a minute. Wait, why does it go to my page?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, it's not switching me. So see,
Why
it
is
even
it-
does it here.
That doesn't make sense.
There we
There it is.
go. Okay. Now, this is a new page I just finished. If you guys haven't seen this, I put it up on Twitter and put it out there for everybody to see. I know everybody saw top part over on Bancroft's show. He did it on the Art Share, but I'm not sure if this got out there yet.
That's cool.
Yeah, so a lot of good things were said about it, which I'm really happy. And then I'm really happy about this bottom panel now. There's a few little motion lines I want to put on it, but other than that, it's finished page. Probably the most detail I've ever put on a page with the ocean.
Well, it's nice too. Is there's a lot like for the words and stuff. There's a lot of rooms where it won't hit the top part of it.
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of room for dialogue here,
Yeah.
here. You know.
Hopefully, we can make it to where you don't have to touch the top one.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens, but yeah, I'm super proud of this page. It just took me a while to get in my groove, I think. But once I found it, I was like, okay, I feel art's definitely going to be better on this book than the first book.
Oh yeah,
Definitely.
you're ridiculously. Well, even that book, how many years? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, but I mean, my style's my style. It's just I've made improvements, and then there's just some things I'm going to go with. Like this is highly detailed, but certain pages I may not do the same way. I may change the page a little bit, and because I don't think I can spend the amount of time on every page like I did that one. That's crazy. So I need to get efficient for one thing, and I don't think everything needs that much. You know,
Yeah.
some pages it's okay if you're not going off the charts.
well,
all
especially the
time.
scenes that are more dialogue compared to the scenes that are action. Like,
Yeah, I mean, you and I have talked about this with EVS's art. He has great art, so I don't think that I'm saying anything bad about him. It's the fact that sometimes there's so much detail in every page that your eyes, it's too much to look at. You know what I mean? I think it's just you're taking too much in sometimes, and at least for me, maybe other people don't feel that way, but I feel this way. And I feel like sometimes it's better to let your imagination fill in some of the detail. Not on everything, quite a few things. It's nice to have that detail on there because it looks cool. But there's just a few times where it's like, okay, I don't need all that.
no, I mean, you know me, I always really loved John Byrne when he was doing the X-Men. his style. You know, it was more
Yeah.
character centric than it was the scene or anything, really.
Yeah. Yeah. Your brain really does fill in a lot of those details, and you
Mm-hmm.
don't need all that. Like sometimes I think the coloring is getting so crazy on, in the digital coloring world, um, that it's almost becoming so real, like
Mm-hmm.
it's getting so far along that, man, what's going to be the difference? You know what I mean? Um, it's going to be like AI, how it looks, how it can make things look pretty realistic on the surface, until you take a
For
closer
people
look
having
at it.
7 fingers.
Well, yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like that kind of stuff is bad. But when you look at skin tone and things like that, I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe how it mimics reality. It's crazy. And I don't want a comic to look like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's weird. Like people
I
love
don't want that.
Ross, right? Is that his name? Alex Ross?
Yeah, Alex. I do love Alex Ross, but he keeps it in a style though. He
Yeah, but
doesn't.
see, I don't like to me it looks too realistic. I don't like it.
Oh, I like it. I don't like
Like for a
everything he does.
poster, but I don't like it for the whole comic. Like I
Yeah,
don't.
yeah. There's certain things that he'll do where, man, I'm like, oh my gosh, he'll blow my mind. And then other times, like
Oh
he's
yeah.
done some recent Hulk stuff. I don't like it. I really don't like it.
He's doing something for Marvel right now. I forget what it is, but I don't I mean, I know it's amazing, but
Yeah,
I don't want my comic book to look that way. I don't want it to look like a painting.
I can't get over you guys not liking ham.
It's overrated, crazy man. There's a lot better meats out there.
Just eating dry ass turkey over delicious pork.
Dude, if the person's
I like
cooking
turkey.
turkey right, turkey's amazing. Turkey is better than pork. It really
I
is.
well, it depends on the pork. It depends on the cut and
No,
everything. Ham
I've
isn't
had
my
really
favorite.
good pork, but still turkey's always better.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. I guess it just depends. But
I don't even
uh
like bacon that much, honestly.
oh wow, I like bacon.
Like if I'm gonna eat something from a pig, it's brisket. I'll take
Dang,
brisket
man.
over anything.
That's crazy. That is
Yeah, to me, bacon's
crazy.
almost too salty.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not big on salt.
I understand. Um Man, I'm trying to call up something. Go ahead. So we were going to talk about Lord of the Rings a little bit.
Hmm.
So have at it.
So before I was interrupted, so I worked at a movie theater while that was going on, and what I love to do is I love to close, because basically when you close the theater, you were just basically still there in case someone needed anything, like a customer or something. Like if something bad happened, like I remember our opening night for Matrix, it went down, and that sucked because there was like 600 people like just yelling at
Yeah.
me. So things like that suck. But what was nice with Lord of the Rings, it would be the only movie. So I would go into that theater, watch like the last hour of that. I'd get some free ice cream from the restaurant that we had. I'd go in there, sit, get paid for an hour of just watching. Like I saw the ending of the third movie, like an hour of that ending.
Oh wow.
Like I can't tell you how many times.
Oh
Because
gosh.
all the other movies it would still have like, because if we had an 11 o'clock showing, that would be the latest. And it's crazy to think back then, 11 o'clock. Like you can't see movies at 11 anymore.
Right.
Uh, I think probably the latest you can get maybe is 10:45, and that's probably even pushing it.
I miss that, man. I mean, I
Yeah,
liked seeing late shows sometimes. It was
yeah.
cool.
So if it started at 11, you had 15 minutes for like the trailers. So it didn't start really till like 11:15. 3 hours would then make it 12:1, 2:15. But it was more than three. It was like 20 hours. So it was like, like 2:45 in the morning.
Right. Right.
And I'm getting paid for those hours where I'm honestly really not doing anything, just watching movies.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what I would do too? Is so a theater would get done and then I'd walk in it and try to find any money. And usually you'd find quarter, because still digital money really wasn't like, you did have cards, but yeah, there were times where I remember in a Spider-Man I found $50 in
What?
Spider-Man 2
That
closing.
is
Someone,
ridiculous.
yeah. and so I'd find money, and you get to keep it. Like,
Damn.
if we're
That's
closed, they
crazy.
can't come back in if someone lost money. So it was easy as a teenager in young 20s. It was an easy job to do. People never wanted to close either, so I was always just like, yeah, I'll do it. I'll
Right,
get paid
right.
for that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, well, if you're gonna find it, you're gonna find it. I guess that's cool. It's just weird. You think people would be better with their money? I don't understand how people do that.
It happened more than you could think. Seriously, I guess
Oh, I
just
know.
probably kids in their pockets and stuff, and then just falls out while they're sitting. They don't think about it. They go and they leave.
Right,
And it's not like we sold alcohol or anything like that. That wasn't a thing. Like, so it wasn't like people were drunk
right, right.
watching stuff like you could drink now at movie theaters. At least here in Ohio, but Pennsylvania, we didn't serve alcohol. It
Um,
was soda, water, and then we did have coffee. We had an espresso machine, and we did have milkshakes too. But you'd have to do that at the restaurant.
mhm.
So, but
I have a hard time right now remembering going to the theater and seeing these in the theater. I know I did. I
that's
just
crazy.
can't remember.
I can actually remember what theaters I saw them in. I
Yeah.
remember the third one for some reason. I didn't see it like opening weekend. Like, I don't know why. I'm trying to think why I didn't. But it took me a little bit to see it. Oh man,
Hey,
they were such good movies.
look at that.
Yeah,
Shadow Punk's here. How you doing, man? Good to see you. Well, yeah, I don't know. That's weird. I know I went to Dublin and saw it in Dublin, but that was for one of them. I don't know where I saw the other two, but I know I saw them in the theater because I loved them. They were
Oh,
awesome.
I really would like because I read The Hobbit in school, and I just thought it was okay. But then when I saw The Fellowship, because I never read Lord of the Rings, when I saw that, when I came out of that movie, it must have been how people felt with like Star Wars. Like to me, that wasn't like a movie.
Right.
This was amazing. Like
Yeah, yeah. It was so I saw like the scene. I remember the trailer playing off, where they show the elves and they're all in that line and they all raise up their I don't know what they are. Their
like
weapons with the
shields, like the
long.
opening scene, the opening war.
It's the war, but they go like this and they all do it in like a domino effect. They're like down the
Yeah, they
line.
bring up their blade, like their shield, like a blade,
Yes, and it
and it
takes
cuts them.
out all these people, and I was just like, "Oh my god, I have to see this now." I just remember that scene being awesome, at that time. And at that time, we had not seen these epic wars, these big battles in CGI like that. You know what I mean?
No, right? Because even Star Wars, you didn't see thousands of soldiers like that. Like
No,
that
it was
was
just
really a
coming
new
out.
thing.
So Star Wars, weren't they out like close around the same time?
Attack of the Clones, I think, was like 2002. I remember Attack of Clones and Spider-Man
Yeah.
1 or 2 came out within like a week because I remember we got our asses handed for both of them.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it was the elves, man. You're right. Hang on, I'm gonna go here, and then taking me a minute. Wait. Yeah, this is the elves in the first battle sequence, and yeah, they filmed them at the same time, dude.
Yeah,
I love that they filmed them at the same time because it definitely made everything cohesive. Made them
yes.
yeah, there were definitely better movies for it.
The only complaint I remember people saying is they feel like the first and second one didn't have endings. I remember people thinking the first one, they're like, "Oh, it's not an ending. It's just a
it's a cliffhanger."
Yeah, I mean, but I remember people not liking that. But I always
dude.
like,
But see, they don't like it because they don't realize it was going to be a trilogy.
Well, and I do remember people being mad that the spider wasn't in the second one because they're like, that's what people were thinking. That's how it was going to end. Was Frodo
right?
and Sam with the spider. So people were not happy about that.
I like the way they did it. I think they played it out perfect. And actually, that wouldn't have made sense if they would have done the spider at that time. Right?
I guess how the book is, that's how it is. Because the Two Towers, the second book, it happens there. It doesn't happen in Return of the
Okay.
King. So they
So,
pushed Frodo's stuff into Return of the King that's
okay.
not during that time.
Yeah, so Shadowpunk's saying they took the best part of the book out of Return of the King, which, man, it's been a while since I read Return of the King, so I don't know what you're talking
I'm
about.
guessing he's talking about the Shire being burnt when they come home.
Oh, that might
And
make sense. Yeah.
Saruman and go against the four hobbits, which I'm because that's like another 100 pages. Like,
Yeah. It's crazy. Gandalf at the gate with the Witch King. Yeah, that was pretty awesome. I love that part in the extended movie.
yeah, because it was in the trailer, but it wasn't in the movie. And I
Yeah.
remember being like, "Oh man, how was that not in the movie?"
Yeah, pretty crazy. Before we go further, I just want to tell everybody. I'm sure you've heard by now that Spawnuary is going on, and everybody and their brother seems to be doing a cover challenge for
Smart.
Todd McFarlane. I'll switch it right here. So it's kind of a crazy thing that he's opened this up to anybody to, you have to download his template and submit it in his template. But other than that, the first week you get to turn in Spawn. The second week is Gunslinger.
Which
looks like
that's a different Spawn, right?
Yeah, it's the one with the guns and the cowboy hat. You haven't seen that one? It's pretty damn cool.
It's basically Spawn Western.
Yeah, it's pretty freaking cool looking, though.
Who's Scorched?
I don't know that. And then the fourth week would be any Spawn universe villain. And then the final week, they're going to pick the 4 winners. So they're going to pick a person from each week, probably. And go from there. But it's the 4th right now. So basically, you got 3 days to turn in Spawn. I don't think I'm going to make that, but I'm just trying. So I've actually been working on a piece tonight. Very, very little, but I'm doing it. And I'll share with you now. Right here, I've been working on something for Spawn. And I'm playing right now, so I don't even know if I'll turn this in, but this is something that I like to mess with. I like Spawn. I think Spawn's a great character, and it's cool. So I just thought I'd play with it and draw tonight while we're on stream, and we can continue to talk about Lord of the Rings and stuff. So no big deal. Yeah, it's in the book. It's much better. Usually the books have more context, though, and
well, yeah. I mean,
yeah. So
has more.
I know, and that's part of the thing is like I feel like the Hobbit books or the book is better than the movies. And when I read the Hobbit, I really enjoyed it, and it felt different pace than the movie makes it. So the movie, elongates it, puts it into a trilogy. I didn't care for that. I didn't care for the white orc or whatever.
I thought he was cool.
I didn't like him at all. He looked CG to me, so I thought that was kind of It wasn't great. I thought that's what was so cool about the first movies was those Uruk-hai. They didn't look CG, man. They looked real, and most of them were practical. They were practical with their, the makeup and everything.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, why didn't they do that with that white dude?
Well, I think what happened is Peter Jackson wasn't given a lot of time. Like it was rushed because Del Toro was over it and then bounced out of it because it was so difficult. And so Jackson, you know what I mean?
I get it.
He didn't have a lot of time. Like they really pushed him and just gave him boatloads of money.
I guess I just have issues with, that kind of thing. The story is fun to watch. I still like to go back and watch it every now and then.
I think The Hobbit's still fun to watch. The one thing I do
Yeah.
like is, I mean, they add a lot with Bard. Like in The Hobbit, it's kind of like, oh, there's this guy that killed the dragon.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Yep.
Bard isn't really like there, and they gave him kind of a whole arc, which I did like that. I thought
think
his
that's
character
cool,
was
but
well done.
there's a part of me that just thinks, he would, he's very minimal. Um, I don't know. I think it could have been better. Yeah, Azog or whatever his name was.
The
I
Defiler.
I just feel like it was added in, and it was just I don't know. It didn't come out the way I wanted it to. You know what I mean? I actually wish we could have got more of that Urukai, because that Urukai leader was badass in the Fellowship.
Dude, his arm gets cut off, and then Aragon puts a knife
I
to his
know.
stomach, and he pushes the knife closer to get Aragon closer to him. Like,
He was a
man.
total badass. I loved him. It's kind of like the Maul thing, the first villain that we get in the Star Wars trilogy is Maul, and they kill him. They kill him,
Maul's great.
but he was so badass.
I do remember in the Fellowship when Aragon cuts his head off, people clapped.
Oh yeah,
People
yeah,
clapped after.
Oh
that
yeah.
scene.
Well,
That
it's such a powerful scene because you've got so much going on with um Boromir.
Boromir.
Yeah. So that was that just is a catapult, for Aragorn to just go for it. So you couldn't have had a better setup for a hero. You know what I mean? It's one of the greatest of all time. Right? Am I wrong?
No, I mean it's a great, and their Aragon's battle
Welcome.
with him is only like a minute. Like it isn't long,
right?
But like everything about it, cool. Like he throws his shield and almost decapitates Aragon. Then he's got to like wiggle to get out from under it. Like,
yeah.
Then he puts a knife in the guy's leg. The guy licks his own blood, and Aragon has this look like what?
That's awesome.
It's a really good fight scene. Like, there's not a lot
to
it, but everything is meaningful, impactful, fast. You feel it all. Like, even the cut of the head, like his head, like just spins and his body falls, and it's just so well done. Like, it's so realistic, but still so badass. It definitely is one of the best fight scenes ever in a movie.
Well, strictly as a setup, though, I don't know if there's any other way you could set up a hero to take on the villain than that.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? And as far as memory serves, it's not that it's not out there. It's just as far as what memory says. So,
well, no, and even Boromir, like you feel him breathing as he's got the arrows in him. Like,
right.
When he's just trying to breathe and still like protect the hobbits. Like, and then he's just like right in his face too, like gonna put an arrow in his face right before Aragon like stops him from doing that.
So Shadowhawk wants to join us. You want to send him a link?
Cool.
All right, I'll get in here. Let me get in here and send him a link. Go ahead and keep talking. I'll get in there and send it to him.
So yeah, it's crazy we're able just to talk about one scene, but there's even stuff in the Lord of the Rings that he added that aren't in the books. Like the elves don't come at Helm's Deep to help. That's clearly something he added.
Right.
But I think that was
it's kind of strange.
I thought that was cool, though. I liked that. I thought that was a cool adage. I felt like it made that battle. I feel, more entertaining and more realistic that they were able to survive. Like if it's just Aragon and a bunch of old men and children, it's a little bit harder to, at least he had a small army of elves to kind of help with that. I'm trying to think what else. Well, I know a lot of people aren't happy that the Hobbit that sings and dances, and that's how they actually get their swords. They don't get it from Strider.
Oh, Bombadil, Tom Bombadil.
Yeah, like I guess people really like him, but to me, he seems a little weird. So I don't know if he's too weird for a movie, or
I don't know. maybe. I think it was throwing off when you
Just
read
for
it. It
fun.
throws it off to me a little bit. Welcome, Shadowpunk. Hey, man.
Hey, am I in there?
Yeah, you're in.
I
Awesome.
don't see
Cool,
him.
cool. I tell you what, guys, I am you know that phrase that says I've forgotten more about this subject than most people know.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah,
Right?
yeah.
I'm like that. And beyond the movies, right? Beyond the movies, right? But you guys are talking about that fight scene with Aragorn and the Urkai. The one part that I loved about that scene that was so cool that they kind of invented because it's a movie
Oh yeah, yeah.
is when he throws a shield and he pins
Yeah.
his neck against the tree, and then the sword's gonna come down the shield and kill him. I was like, whoa, that's fucking cool.
Oh
Right?
yeah. Yes.
Ah,
I loved it.
because you know what? Because there are things about the movies that they changed that
Yeah.
I was like, this is kind of bullshit, but they compensated for it with cool stuff like that.
Yes.
What was something that you didn't like that they changed?
Okay, so what I was trying to say in the comments was, excuse me, the end in Return of the King, Gandalf stands in front of the gate after they use the battering ram to knock it down, right?
Oh yeah, he gets a bunch of them
Right.
to fight where there's like 3 big trolls.
Right, but
And-
that's all movie stuff. I'm talking about the coolness of the book that they got rid of.
Oh, why?
And-
What does he do at the gate? What does he do in the book?
In the gate, after they knock it down, the Lord of the Nazgul comes walking up on his horse. And
Oh.
all the guys outside, but like almost part and bow down because they're so afraid of him. And so
Yeah.
he comes into the gate and everybody's gone. And I think Pippin's on the back. Pippin might be on the back of Gandalf. I can't remember. Maybe he's not, but he's there. And so Gandalf is the only one, and Shadowfax is the only one that can take it because this guy is so unholy, right? He reeks of evil. And so
Yeah.
Gandalf says, "You cannot come in here." And then the Lord of the Nazgul says, your time is up. And his sword lights with fire. And he says, it's over. I'm coming in. And in effect, he says, I'm coming in and I'm going to kill you. And so right when that happens, you hear the horns of Rohan.
Rowan.
Oh
And so
yeah.
and everything changes because now the Witch King has to deal with that problem. It's impossible for him not to, right? So Gandalf would have wiped the floor with him if he had to, right? Because that's how powerful he is, Gandalf the White. But
Yes.
but his job is not to solve those problems for people, right? It's kind of against the code. He has to get people to do it for themselves,
Yeah.
right? To give hope and to wipe away people's delusions about what is actually happening. Because people like Theoden, or they're living in like a delusional kind of world, right? They're being lied to, and that's kind of symbolic of what's happening to him. And so Gandalf, that's his one goal in the Middle Earth, is just to be there to go, don't let this get to you. This is not real, or this is not the real truth, But anyway, I love that part of the book, and I was,
No, you're right. That is a cool, because what they did. So it's not even in the movie, but it's in the extended. What they did in self is that the Lord of the
Lord of the Nazgul,
he's on one of those dragons and meets Gandalf, and then he does the fire with the blade and it destroys Gandalf's staff, but then he leaves because the horn of Rohan goes off that they're there. So
right.
they somewhat did it, but you are right, because as you were saying it, I was actually picturing what I pictured when I read that, and it is much cooler in my head with him walking in like that. Like, it's a very, like, you feel it, like the scariness of how powerful he is. The Witch King, right? That's his name.
Yeah, the Witch King.
Yeah.
But so yeah, I mean, in the movie, before you hear the horn of Rohan, you can hear the cock crow because that's how early in the morning it is, right?
Mhm.
And there's like this dead silence, is what they say.
Yeah.
Nobody's tension is major, right? So at that point, in the book, I don't know about everybody else, but I was like, whoa, this is insane. This is where it all culminates, right? And like at one point, because I've watched the movies like you, I watched them a bunch of times. I kind of figured out why they changed it. I think it was a timing issue as far as the events happening in the movie. But you know what? Oh, you know what it was? You know what it was? Rohan, story wise in the movie, was not there yet, and they had timed it out for some reason for that to be the case, and so you can't hear the horn of Rohan if they're not there, right? So I think that was the reason they did it. And I remember when I saw the movie, I'm like, this is fucking bullshit. And only somebody like me would think that, right? And in retrospect, it's I guess if I have to give,
because especially when there's certain scenes you can't wait to see in live action, and then it doesn't happen.
right?
It's like, you know what I mean? Like for instance, one thing I didn't like is the Nazgul can be killed because they are killed. Like, because I know Gimli kills one at Helm's Deep.
No, that is not true.
No, doesn't he? Doesn't he kill one? Doesn't he like put his axe in one of the nine's face and kills them?
No.
Not that I remember.
You're thinking of when Mary. Maybe you're thinking of when the Lord of the Nazgul dies on the battlefield, and I
thought Gimli killed one of the nine at Helm's Deep.
No, you can't really kill them because they're like they're just spirit forms, so
right, like the undead or whatever.
Yeah, they're like undead. So if you kill the body, it'll just come back, and it takes a long time. If you read Tolkien, you read the Silmarillion, there were periods in Middle Earth where Sauron was killed, his physical form was killed, and so he took 1,000 years to come back. And for a long time, he was like a spirit in the forest. And you know that how you saw that in The Hobbit, when he wasn't really like a true form yet, right? So it was like,
oh yeah, I remember that.
But The Hobbit is one of those movies where I get exactly why people knock on it. There's a lot of things I don't like about it, right? I get it. But there were things I did like about it. And they did a good job, So for me, who's a hardcore fan, I can weigh the options here. I can go. I'm not going to shit on the whole thing because I'll tell you something that drives me nuts about Peter Jackson's movies and these movies, and it's a small thing, okay? But when you see it, you'll see it, okay? Whenever you see the extras in the background doing their thing, and you see this a lot, like at outside they have flashbacks in The Hobbit the first time the dragon wasted everything. Right, the dragon came in and killed the dwarves, and before that, everybody's walking around the town, and they're kind of like business as usual kind of a thing.
Right.
They look like they're acting. They look ridiculous, and the way they're not all nodding their head yes, but it's almost something like that, right? Where you're just like you can spot it, but and that's nitpicking on my part, but I don't know.
Well, one of the things, like when I saw they go into the old like where the prancing pony is again, and in The Hobbit, and you see Peter Jackson there, and he's one of the first guys drunk at the gate,
right?
And I was like, oh man, and it took me out of the film for a minute because I was like,
yep,
I don't want to know he's there. Like, Lord of the Rings needs to exist outside of Earth, And it did. It took me out of the film for it.
It's, what? That is I think he did it because he thinks he's Hitchcock or something, and skill level wise, he's not that, right? I mean, I'm not knocking him, right? I'm just saying it's just and he makes different types of movies, right? So the thing you just described is absolutely the effect that happens, right? And his kids are in the movies too. And they don't seem like they can act, Um,
I
so
wouldn't know his kids, but
his
him
his kids
definitely.
were
That girl with the big eyes, where when he's talking about when not Frodo, but Bilbo's talking about them being squished by the dwarfs, and she goes, "That girl's his daughter."
But they were
Oh,
also
wow.
in The Hobbit. They were Bard's daughters,
Yeah,
right? And
Oh, okay.
you know, I guess if I was that guy, I'd probably do the same thing, right? But the thing you described is what happened to me. I'm like, I can spot them a mile away. They can't
Yeah.
act. The other people can act. You know, the guy who was Bard, he was pretty good. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
he's a convincing actor. He looks chiseled and cool. You know,
Right.
the other thing about the Hobbit movie, I mean, you can crucify me just for bringing it up, was the fact that was a love interest between the dwarf and the elf.
Oh, right.
Right?
Yeah,
Right?
I
I
hated
mean,
that.
you're like,
I hated it.
okay.
I like
Yes,
her. I
you
like
did.
Evangeline Lilly, and I hated that storyline.
Totally. Totally.
Kevin, Murph, you probably hate that about me, don't you?
I don't hate it, but I don't feel like it. I mean, I get why they did it, but it's nothing like. I thought she was a cool character.
She was.
She was.
She was.
I didn't hate the character. I hated the storyline.
If you
They didn't give you really a purpose why they did like each other. Which, if they did something that, you know what I mean, like it came across that he just thought she was pretty, and I don't know why she liked him. Right? Like what?
you want me to tell you why they did it? Okay, if you got a gun and you pinned Peter Jackson to a wall and you said, "Tell me or I'll kill you,"
Well, just to
right?
put a female in it, right? Because there wasn't any female.
No, well, okay, he would say that we kind of are going with the in the Middle Earth mythology. There's a whole thing about elves and men.
Oh yeah, like the song that Aragon sings,
right, with Baron and Luthien, right?
Yeah.
And so
that makes
Aragorn
sense.
and Arwen, right? That's the same lineage kind of deal. So
Yeah.
that's what they would tell you. But the real reason they did it is because of the anti-white deal that's going on in all entertainment. Where if you see like interracial people, which is no problem, nobody cares that happens, right?
Right.
But because they shove it down your throat, and they want you to get angry about it, right? And they want you to make it people feel like being white and people with white, like a white man and a white woman, that's a problem.
Yeah.
Right? That's their subtle way of doing it. So that's really why they do that stuff. But I mean, the thing about the height difference is bizarre. And you just go, that's just it's too weird, right?
Yeah, I didn't like it.
That's pretty funny. I didn't think about that, the height difference.
I mean, okay.
I feel like I'm going nuts here because did he wound what? I'm like looking it up. I swear the Nazgul in the book were at Helm's Deep, and that I feel like Gimli like did something to one of their faces or cut their foot off. Where am I getting this thought from?
That's a good
I don't know,
question.
man. Hey, welcome back, Corey. Thanks for showing up, man. He goes, yes.
Are they at Helm's Deep in the book, or am I wrong with that too?
They are
What
not.
are you talking about?
They are not at Helm's Deep in the book.
The Nazgul, because I felt like they were all over the place. Like they weren't the nine weren't kind of together. Like they were at different places throughout the books.
During the Helm's Deep thing, they were flying on their on their evil steeds, right? And they're like kind of like watching Saruman, and they're picking up information along the way. So
Okay.
they are, but they're not involved at all in the battle.
Why am I thinking? Did Gimli kill someone that was really important, and I'm not remembering it? I feel like that he did something that was really cool, and now I can't remember. It's been such a long time.
Huh.
I mean,
I'm not sure, man. I don't know where you're getting it from.
Yeah, I have it in my head that he killed someone important in the books.
Wow.
And I'm not finding anything. So
You're seeing Gimli, right?
yeah,
Yeah, I'm not sure, man.
Yeah. Can I show you something real quick?
yeah.
Can I show you something on my thing? I'm gonna let me get it before I show you.
Well, wasn't Del Toro crazy mad? Del Toro was he was going to do the movie with The Hobbit, not the Lord of the Rings trilogy.
Yeah, it was
I
because
remember
Peter Jackson was trying to get different people to have him make it, so he was always tied to it.
Right. I'm not sure, but
Can you see my screen?
yeah, let me remove this. Okay.
Do you see it?
Which part? What are you asking?
I've got
Yeah,
the picture
there's
of
the
Gandalf.
drawing of
Oh yeah, we can see it.
the
Okay.
Witch King getting into Gondor.
Yeah, so that is to me that was unbelievable.
Yeah,
That
look at that.
everything is at stake and this is it, right? And I don't know how everybody else feels about when they read the books. Everybody's different, right? But I mean, to me, that is the image. And when they got rid of that, I was so pissed off. You know, call me single-minded if you want, right? Anyway, I just wanted to point that out. I stopped sharing.
No, I think that's very cool. You're right. I do, because when you were saying it, I was actually picturing what I pictured in my head, and to me, it was like one of those things, like you're saying, like everything got quiet, and it was like this moment where it was like the two badasses of both sides were like meeting each other,
Exactly.
and you felt like this is what this is what we were waiting to see.
Yeah.
This fight, and then it does get interrupted.
You kind of want, I mean, that dynamic you just described is so built into the story. Like,
So I forget in the movie, what happened to the Nazgul? He flies away, right?
he flies away and then he
So
ends up.
in the extended, he's just flying. He never lands until he kills Theoden. Like you don't see him until he lands, and then the extended, you see him land on top of Gondor's castle. While Pippin and Gandalf are on their way to save Faramir from being killed by his dad, and so he intercepts them there. He says the line in the book, his sword goes on fire. Gandalf and Pippin fall off the horse, and Gandalf's wand is broken, and then Gondor's horn goes off, and he just leaves them. And then you go to everything going on with, Rohan being on the field with the sun coming up and him saying, and then you don't see the Witch King again till he comes down and attacks the Rohan King.
Well, you know what's funny? When I first saw the original cut of the movie,
yeah,
the scene you just described is, like you said, is not in there. So the next time you see Gandalf, he's up he's in that tomb with
Faramir and Pippin and the
king. And so all of a sudden, I instantly recognized his face looked different. He looked
like you're right. You could see his face. Yeah, under his eyes, Gandalf.
He looked sweaty and like he'd been under a lot of stress. And I was like, "What is that?" And it wasn't until years later, until the scene you described, and then I go, "Okay, they filmed something."
Yeah, which was weird because they did advertise that in the trailer of the Witch King on one of the dragons in front of Gandalf on the white horse. So it was really weird when that scene wasn't in the movie, because that was one of the things on the trailer was like, oh man, that was awesome.
Yeah. Well, I just remembered, you know what they call those things in the book? They call them fell beasts.
Yes. Yeah.
Right? Yeah, that's right.
Because they do say that in the movie, but I think they only say it like once.
Do they? Okay. Boy, I don't remember. I mean, that's you know what
He's
it
not-
is? It's like Beatles songs. It's like you've heard them so many times. I've watched a movie so many times that you just stop. You kind of stop, right? And so I don't remember now. That's crazy. So
Because
yeah,
I know Gollum says wraiths on wings when they
Wraiths
pass
on
over Frodo on the marshes.
yeah.
There's one.
Okay, first off, we have to address Corey here. He says, are there that many babes in Lord of the Rings?"
How dare you?
Yeah. Crazy says, "Yes, Corey." And you
They're all
have Steven Tyler's daughter and Evangeline Lilly and Eowyn.
And that's it.
no. What's
Yeah.
her name? What's
Oh,
her name?
yeah.
No, Awen. Yeah. That's Awen. Yeah.
Well, no, but the blonde elf, Galadriel.
Galadriel, right?
Oh, that's right. Forgot
Yeah,
about
she's beautiful. Man, how they made her look. She's beautiful in that movie, man.
She is.
What they do with her makeup and stuff, she really does look like royalty.
You know what I learned recently that I no way I would ever. I know a lot about Kubrick movies. I know a lot. Okay, I never would have known this. She did the voice for. There's a scene in Eyes Wide Shut where they use the people are wearing masks, so you can't really see who's talking, right? And they
Mhm.
use Kate Blanchett when she was really young to do one of the voices of the sex women at the party.
that. Oh, hmm,
I mean, imagine that. I mean, but
that's crazy.
I've never seen Eyes Wide Shut, but I know what you're talking about. Is she in the movie?
no, it's actually a totally different actress. They just for some reason I can't even explain it.
They
She's
used
I think
her,
she's
huh?
credited too. And
That's so
Wow.
weird.
there's a scene where Tom Cruise is watching what's going on, the orgy, and then some woman comes up to him and says, "Do you want to go someplace more private or something like that?" And that's Kate Blanchett talking,
Just
Oh,
her
wow.
voice, though. That's
just her
not her in the
voice,
mask.
right?
Well, yeah, because they have women in the masks, so you can't
Right.
see who's who. That makes sense.
That's
So
so weird, though.
there's a really bizarre thing with the businesses where let's say she was just starting out and they know they're going to use her in movies for the next 30 years. So
Oh,
they're going to
right.
go, let's start right now. What can we put her in? And so they fund his movies. They're going to tell him, if you
I
need
mean, was
some,
that before Lord of the Rings, Eyes Wide Shut?
yeah, it was like
I can't remember.
1998 or something like that.
Oh, you're right. It was. And
Well, him
I
and
mean, that
Kidman
was,
were married at the time, right?
yeah, that was
Yeah.
the downfall of their marriage.
Really?
Yeah, that time. That's
They
when
got
they
divorced for the
divorced.
movie?
Like right after it.
Huh.
It's, you know,
That's speculation, but I mean, still, what would you
well,
say?
I mean, honestly, I would also say that he's a weird dude.
Yeah,
And,
he's
Yep.
so weird.
and so I would go, you know what, this fucking shit you're involved in, dude, you know, I've had enough of it. I used to think that about her. And then I saw a video of Nicole Kidman eating bugs.
Ooh,
She
what
eats
the
bug?
hell?
She
Oh, I
did
saw that. That's recently, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Ugh.
she's not so normal herself.
Or are you talking about the new Golem game? I just know people hated it. Like
Oh,
whatever
I
the
never
new
saw it.
Golem game was.
That's funny. Yeah, I have no clue about that one.
Gollum, I'll tell you, man, he was in the Hobbit movie and even in the first Lord of the Rings, right? When they first started doing them, I was really impressed. I was
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I mean,
Oh,
he
yeah.
was so good
Well,
in
so you have to remember, Jar Jar Binks was one of the first CGI characters that was fully created and using that cap motion.
He was
suit.
the first, right? There wasn't
Yeah.
anything before him.
Yeah, he was the very first character. And so,
Outside of, I mean,
In-
I guess you could consider dinosaurs.
but in the span of them doing him, they already had Gollum, like not very long right after it.
so they're
And
working on him at the same time then.
Oh, they had to be, right? Because
No, I mean, because
it's close.
Phantom
It's
Menace came
close.
out, what, like 97, 98?
Yeah, so it was like
Yeah.
3 years, but they started doing. When did they film the movies
Yes.
for Lord of the Rings?
Must have been starting around then, right?
Yeah, it had to be. So they were
And
getting
it
that
takes,
technology almost at the same time. Like it's crazy.
Yeah.
but it also takes years to develop the character to make him look the way he looks. So you'll
Right.
go, you do versions of him. There's probably 100 versions of him that were not so good, right?
Oh
But I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
we know that like Jar Jar was made by whatever Lucas's thing is, where Lord of the Rings, it was Weta that did all of their stuff. So
Right.
it's not like
Yeah.
it was the same company. It was two totally
No,
different.
but
Weta also did. They actually. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. No, Digital Domain did. Remember that scene where the Nazgul in the river washes them away?
oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, with
Right.
the horses.
So I think with Digital Domain,
They did
Weta
that.
couldn't do it because they were too busy, and so they had them do it. And that was one
Yeah,
of the
that is a
coolest.
great scene.
It's
It
great.
looks great.
And you know that's an okay. That's I get the idea that there's so many characters in the books that you have to sort of consolidate them.
Yeah, because
Right.
it's not. She doesn't do that. It's a
She-
male elf that does it, isn't it?
Yeah, it's Glorfindel that does it.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
the last thing you want is to introduce a character and then he disappears, right?
Yeah.
Because Joe Bag of Donuts, who doesn't know anything about the books, is going to be confused, right?
Yeah, they're gonna be like, "Where'd that guy go?" And we could really
Exactly.
use that guy again.
I mean, even I understood that, right? And I'm like, but you know, it takes a lot. You Tom who was it? Was it Corey that mentioned Tom Bombadil? No, it was
Crazy mad.
Crazy Man. Yeah, I mean Tom Bombadil. I can see why they took him out of the book, but he is so fun as a character,
Yeah,
and
people love him.
he's when he goes and saves the hobbits when they're in the barrow with the whites they're going. Do you remember what I'm talking about? In the book, they're traveling through the forest, and they get to
Mhm.
this after they meet Tom Bombadil, they get stuck in these barrows like hills, and
Yeah,
underneath the
yeah.
hills they have these tombs, and
Yes.
so they I think with a Frodo he says the word, and Tom Bombadil comes from like 50 miles away, and he's
Yeah.
there like in a couple minutes, right? And
Yeah.
that is, I mean, the way they describe Tom Bombadil, because I've read up on him quite a bit, he is, I mean, Tolkien doesn't do like Superman versus the Hulk and who's the most powerful, right? I mean,
Mhm.
Tom Bombadil is equal with someone like Sauron. He's that powerful, but
Yeah.
their natures are so different that they would never actually have a confrontation, right? It doesn't really make sense at all. Although they kind of do describe it a little bit at the end, right? I mean, in the first book, they say that if Tom Bombadil had the ring, that the world would eventually converge on his house, right? That's how powerful he is and how immune to the ring he is. But
Yeah.
anyway, big tangent. But the other
No,
thing
but it is weird for a character that has such a small part to have like, yeah, you're right, like the powerfulness of, and then he's not like used ever again.
yeah,
It is a weird.
it's he
Yeah.
doesn't he wouldn't work in the movie, and it'd
I
be
don't think he
another.
works in the movie either.
I mean, the movie's already long, right?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
but I think it changes the rhythm of the story too, if you really think about it.
Yes.
Well,
And
too,
a lot of
because
people don't think about that.
you're trying the movie in itself, you're trying to build three characters more than anyone else: Frodo, Aragon, and Gandalf. So then adding all these other people, because you already have the elves and how powerful they are, like you do have to kind of be like, why are you going to care about these three if you got so many other more powerful people all over the place? So,
Well,
if
it
you're going to
changes.
spend your time.
Yeah, I mean, to me, if you have a pacing going on and then you have something else coming in that changes that and changes the attitude of everything, you can't do it. A lot of people are just going to be lost.
Well,
Now
you
fans
know,
of the book would love it, but not everybody.
Yeah.
I think the other factor too, is that if there has to be something in that half an hour of the story that you're going to put in that is vital, because the
Yeah.
movie's already 3 hours. So
Yeah.
and so even if there was, they would probably transfer it to something else, right? Because it's 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 a side note in the story, and it's a wonderful side note that lets you know how the world works, right? But beyond that, it doesn't really serve the larger goal of
Right.
telling the story.
And I feel like they're able to do that with how the world works. Was how Gandalf quotes that he has about, like, how Bilbo was meant to have the ring, and Frodo, you were
Right.
also meant to have the ring,
Right.
and there's more than just the will of evil in this world. And
There is a thing in the Tolkien, in all the Tolkien books, where and the best example of this is Frodo falling down the hole to find the ring.
Mhm.
So there's a hand of providence, or the hand of God, that says, in this little moment, I'm going to push you. I'm
Yeah.
going to bump you a little bit and send you in the right direction. And that happens a lot in Tolkien's books, and it's not all over the place. It's just it says that God is watching you, and there's a larger plan involved.
Mhm.
You know, and it also goes back to, like, why is there evil in the world, right? The Sauron and his master himself, they you when you read the books, you wonder, why are they the way they are? Why are they rebellious against the order that God made the world? And the answer is that, and they kind of say it in the books too, is that everything resounds back to the larger story, and nothing you can do can break away from that. So if if you're a Sauron or you're a Morgoth and you're trying to kill all the elves, right? One way or the other, your plan will not ultimately work, and you'll end up always losing that thing you wanted to go for. And it's an interesting point of the stories, because you kind of wonder. So I don't know if you guys have ever read into the mythology of Tolkien about the larger stories.
Well, yeah,
I
I've
haven't.
tried with the Silmarillion, but it's tough. Like, because the Silmarillion definitely kind of has the whole, like, Satan thing, where there's one that kind of then,
Right.
uh, that kind of, I don't. Do they even give a reason why? I'm trying to remember.
They do. They sort of do. In the beginning of the world, before the world even existed,
Yeah.
these 14 powerful beings, they all sang, and
Yes.
all these spirits have and he was the one note that was off.
Yeah.
And you, after you read all the story, you realize this is intentional. God made it this way. And so, because at the end of the story, 10,000 years from now, you're going to see the glory of it all. And so you can't have the glory without the tragedy, right?
Is there anything where there is, like, the the end of Middle Earth? Is there anything? Because I know there's tons of stuff before, like Lord of the Rings. Like, there's tons of different things about different countries and battles and wars. Is there anything after Lord of the Rings where there is a whole thing of, like, where the elves went? And
Well, the only thing they kind of there's nothing like the ultimate end, but what
yeah,
you kind of get is that the time of men is going to start, right? The time of elves and hobbits are over, and
so
so
basically to where it's like nowadays. So what would be like Abraham and Israel and all that stuff would be like the end of Middle Earth. The Sumerians and all of that, right? Where it's just mankind and
right,
dwarves are gone and all the
right.
fantasy stuff.
In my mind, I kind of think it's like Tolkien was thinking, what happened 40,000 years ago,
Yeah.
right? And something like that. But
I
in
never
this,
understood that, though, where the elves went. Because it just sounds like through an ocean. So it's like, even if it's on Earth, where did they go? Like, they go North America? Like,
yeah,
what's
that's what
the
originally that's what it was. And
Oh, really?
for large periods of the of the history of Middle Earth, the elves went to a land that was in position where you would go. That's kind of North America, right?
Yeah.
But after a while, after all these events happen in the history of Middle Earth, God takes it out of the world, and he removes it, right?
Oh, he takes the land they go to,
Yeah,
and it's gone.
yeah. So now it's I can't remember where exactly it is. You there's a uh, there's a little bit of it left. You can see like this tower. I forget what it's called, but yeah, he's
Crazy
right.
Mad's got a lot in here. There was 15. Everyone had a pair but Morgoth.
Right. So Morgoth is the Satan character, and he's the
Yeah.
one that corrupts the Balrogs. They were fire elementals, and he
Yeah.
gets them to be. And so people like Sauron, and in the beginning, it isn't like we're gonna fuck shit up. It's more like we can do this better. Morgoth
Yeah.
knows what he's doing, but he's gonna string these. And by the time the Lord of the Rings, especially, but even before, when Morgoth is overthrown in the Silmarillion, they give him another chance. Sauron, the Valar come to him and they say, if you um, if you give up this and you swear obedience to us, and you what do you call that when uh, you say you're not going to do your sins anymore, we will forgive it. And so he had
Well, because isn't that when he then makes the rings as kind of like a gift of it's my bad.
He made the rings a lot later than that, right?
Okay.
Yeah. But one of the coolest parts about the history of Middle Earth is the story about the creation of these Silmarils. These Silmarils are these 3 gems that hold the light of the world inside of them, the light of God, right? And so, this elf made it, and so he had 7 sons, and so at one point, these Morgoth steals these. No, I'm sorry. At one point, Morgoth destroys the trees that light the world, and they want to get the light out of the gems so that they can start it up again. And so he says, "I'm not going to let you have them." And so Morgoth steals them, and this Feanor and his sons swear an oath to the end of the world that says, no matter who holds these gems, you're our enemy, and we're going to get them, no matter who it is, right? And so they go back into Middle Earth, and they kill a lot of their own elves, kinfolk elves along the way. And it's really a cool story dynamic where you go, these fucking elves are insane, right? They even know they're insane. They go, we swore the oath to the end of the world, and even if we know we're doing evil, we have to do it.
Yeah.
Right. And you go, you guys are writing your books and everything, right? I mean, that's like such a cool story element. And
I'm surprised with Amazon able to do the first and second age. They don't even touch that stuff. They do show the tree, but I didn't even watch all of the Amazon show. I think I only watched like 4 or 5 episodes. There's a lot of stuff they could have done, and it was crazy what they decided.
So I don't know this for certain, but I was told that my understanding is that the people that Amazon only has rights.
Numenor
only has rights to the appendix in Return of the King and what they talk about the Second Age.
Oh, I thought they had all of First and Second Age.
Right.
Because I know there's a war where there's isn't there 7 Bell Rocks that go to a castle? It's not one. It's like 3 or 7 of them, right?
In the early history of Middle Earth, there's 5 major battles that the elves fight Morgoth and the Balrogs and all that stuff. And there's one where the probably the biggest one where they get their ass handed to them, right? The elves. And so the Balrogs kill one of the kings of the elves at this point, and Baron, who's in the story that what's his name, Aragorn sings about, his father holds back the armies as the elves retreat, and so he wins renown. And so when it's such an awesome story, and the story about Beren and Luthien is awesome. The shit
Yeah.
they go through was just you go. It's very fairy tale-ish, but it kind of reads like Greek mythology a little bit. Sometimes it reads a little bit like the Bible, where it's like it's not first person like Lord of the Rings, I mean, when you guys write your stories, do you guys get inspiration from where do you get that from?
I think, well, it's not we who write the story. It's just me. Derek has 0. Derek has a -5 when it comes to the story.
Okay, here we go.
Oh,
No,
shit, man.
no,
Here we
Lennon
go.
and McCartney going at it.
Happy fucking New Year. That's what I got to say. No, I'm just kidding. Sorry.
So Lord of the Rings, I mean, the reason I even started writing this was because of Lord of the Rings back in 2000. But I'd say, to me, a lot of my ideas and stuff, I loved mythology, so I always thought like that was so cool. I always thought Hercules was so cool. X-Men is a huge inspiration for me. And really, with the book, I really am trying to do what Tolkien was trying to give a mythology to England. I feel like all the world's religions and mythologies have so many things in common. It's easy to make a start where all the mythologies make sense and why we have the pyramids and everything like that. So
I know that there is. If you get into, that guy Graham Hancock.
Graham Hancock, who's that?
Yeah, I know who that is.
He wrote
the Explorer, right? He's the Explorer.
Yeah, he writes books about theoretical history, and not totally theoretical actually.
Right.
But it's kind of describing what you're. So his point is that after the last ice age, there was this period where things dried out, cooled out, like real fast. Like I think it was 100 years or 200 years, and after that, there were civilizations around the world that were in sync. And in his mind, there are the pyramids and a lot of these structures from that long ago are indications of that.
He's because
even there's an Egyptian pyramid that has a wall that's from an Inca pyramid. So it's like, they definitely know.
Oh,
that
right.
The Egyptians and the Mayans had some form of communication because the Egyptians have a piece of stuff from them.
There's a technological link. Is that what it is? I think that's what it was.
That they had to get it from that area.
Right.
And how it's made. I forget where I watched it, but they actually show it, and they're like, so it's not like something like Egypt went over there, got a piece of something that the wall looks like how it's designed is how the Mayans or Incas, whoever it is, how their walls were designed. So almost like an homage, like here's a wall of ours that you guys can have. And they just have it there as like a...
It could be that's the case, and I think it really could be that's the case, right? And it
it's
also
kind of hard to believe they can make these structures, but they don't understand boats. Like they don't have ships. Like that's just BS. Like their whole idea of it's,
Well, either way, So back to the Lord of the Rings, because Crazy Man was talking about Ungoliant and so this Morgoth character, these two trees light the world. Well, they light a lot of the parts of the world, right? So Morgoth is spiteful, and he's going to destroy these trees and get the light out of them. And so he gets this spider creature like Shelob, but way more powerful. And he gets Shelob to help him do it. And they go up there, and she sucks all the light out of the trees. And
because was Shelob always a spider or no?
Yeah, always a spider. Yeah.
Okay, I was thinking that she was a witch and then turned into a spider, but I might be thinking of something else. So,
and you know what? Back to the Peter Jackson movies, I gotta say, they did a fucking great job on that.
Oh,
the spider.
Oh, I'm just telling you, moved everything. Oh,
creepy. Spiders. I don't like spiders. So,
me either.
I mean, so I'm like, this is whatever this thing is, you know how like they move a certain way that creeps you out
Yeah.
because they creep, you know.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, this is so gnarly, and I think they made it look like a funnel web spider.
What's
Which
that?
a funnel web looks like a larger giant black widow / tarantula.
Okay.
And it's one of the most, if not the most venomous spider in the world, and it's very aggressive. And for a lot people like Bancroft probably have to check their shoes.
Oh, I hate that. Oh, I hate
Yeah.
that idea.
Now for us, it'd be the brown recluse. So
Where are you at?
Ugh.
so we're in Ohio, and the brown recluse
Stop
is
doxing us.
something that gets in shoes and gets in different like dark, dank places.
Okay,
They want to be in moisture. So if you go into crawl spaces, stuff like that,
right,
you have to be careful.
right.
Yep.
Don't they have
There's a
like
lot
a
of
thing
moisture.
where like your flesh is it eats away your flesh or something?
Oh yeah, it will eat your flesh. Yes, the
Seriously.
poison will.
Oh, I
By the
hate
way,
spiders.
hey, well, thanks for coming by, man.
Hey, Immortal.
That's what it was.
What?
Yep.
Crazy. Her hunger was so fast she couldn't satiate it, and she ate herself.
After she eats the trees, she eats a bunch of other stuff and she becomes more powerful. And Morgoth is like,
crazy.
I'm not going to give you what I have left. And so the bell he gets attacked, and he screams so loud that these Balrogs that are sleeping in the earth for 1,000 years come out, and they find him, and they attack her, and she takes off.
Dude,
And
I didn't know that, but that is awesome.
it is so
It is
cool,
awesome.
and and you can see how powerful she is because he's the most powerful being in Middle Earth. So she's gotten so swallowed up with all this stuff she's been eating, and then, like he said, she ends up. Legend says that she ends up eating herself because there's nothing left, right? But she, on her way south, she mates and kills with other animals, and she creates the spiders that we know, like Shelob and the spiders of the Mirkwood Forest, right?
It's
Yeah.
crazy that like Peter Jackson just doesn't do all this. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you could easily make so many stories out of this stuff. Like, it would be so cool.
You know, that's an excellent point. You know why that's even a better point is because the movies he's made since, are so-so.
What has he done other
he
than
did-
The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings?
Well, he did King Kong, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh,
you know what? Okay, you know what blew me away about that movie was that Fay Ray in that movie. It's in the middle of winter, and she's in a slip, and she's walking around, and then she's on top of the Empire State Building, and she's acting like she's in a warehouse or something.
that's
Right?
pretty funny.
I'm like, she should be cold, right?
She
But
should be freezing.
I wouldn't be surprised if Peter Jackson probably got sick of it. I mean,
Yeah.
and he should make the Silmarillion. He should do the history of the Silmarils, and what they should do is kind of what they did with the Rings of Power, where they use Galadriel because she was there from the beginning, and have her tell the story. Right? I was there when they swore the oath about the gems, and so this is how it kind of happened. But in the books, they say that in competition she could do everything the men could do. That's how good she was. But they never really get into the fact that she's in combat ever. That's kind of a thing they made up for the Rings of Power.
Oh wow.
Well, the Kings of Power, they really just came from a feminine perspective and was
right.
I mean, we know why they made it, and she's just so unlikable too. It's just so.
Well, I will kind of I'm going to disagree with you a little bit, right?
This will be fun.
I actually liked the actor that played her. I was impressed. I thought she had a lot of. I did. I thought she had a lot of charisma, and I thought she looked. She looked beautiful, right, as you would expect, right? But
I think she looks like her, but I feel like she didn't have any emotion. Like she was almost like Neo.
that could be true. I mean, I could see that. But it's tricky when you play somebody that's been living for 1,000 years, right?
Yeah.
How that what you don't want is you want men in the world, the race of mankind, to be immediate and reactionary, and you want
Yeah.
the elves to be contemplative, and so how do you do that without being boring, right?
Oh yeah.
And so I can totally see your point, because at the end of the day, the movie has to be watchable.
Yeah, I couldn't finish Rings of Power. I just thought a lot of stuff was going on for no reason though. Like nothing. I didn't feel like anything was going anywhere. I was just so I never finished it. I think I only watched like 3 or 4 episodes.
Right.
And I know
Yeah.
everyone reviewed it like it was bad, so I didn't give it any other chance after.
So okay, here's the thing. Okay, I totally think all the criticisms are legit. I liked certain things about the series, and certain things were ridiculous. But these guys like Nerdrotic, for example, all right, they make their business on going after all this stuff, right? And if they agree with if they like anything about it, it kind of destroys their point of view. And so,
Yeah.
and I'm not saying they're wrong or they're right. I'm just saying there's a little bit of let's jump on everything and let's continue to talk to our audience about it.
I will say though, with him, at least he's not like I don't feel like Nerdrotic is like as toxic as a lot of other people are. I feel like he does like love Lord of the Rings, and
Yeah.
I feel like he's very sincere because I do know what you mean. Like these are a lot of people's their whole YouTube is to kind of shit on really everything and make fun of it. And
Well, I think he's one of the worst of doing it though, because he doesn't give much a chance. I would rather you watch it and see it. Sometimes I think he just sees the previews and goes, "Oh my God, it's over. This is the dumbest thing ever." And I'm going, it's not enough information.
I mean, though he was right about the MCU though. He had that
was.
before all this, and
Yeah, he did.
he was totally right about it. Like,
Right. I don't know. I don't know what to think about it.
Well, you know what? That's his bread and butter, right? Is knocking
Yeah.
down stuff. So it's like, I get it, but it's like he's saying they have an agenda, and it's bullshit, right? And and so then you realize his agenda is to be outraged about their agenda, right? So is he ever going to go? That one was actually not too bad, right? Or for example, let's just say he said, I do like the Galadriel actress or something, right?
yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying he did, but like, let's say he had my opinion, right? Would he ever do that, or do you make less money if you do that?
Yeah, there's nothing I can think off the top where he was like, "Oh, I did." What I'm trying to think if he has, but like for instance, like people shit on Marvel's Eternals and Shang-Chi, and I liked both of those movies. I thought Black Widow was terrible, and a lot of the last couple have really been awful. But people hated Shang-Chi and Eternals, and I thought those were good movies. I enjoyed both of those movies.
It really is like what do you call that? It's a Rorschach test when you watch these things,
Yeah.
because
Yeah, right.
because okay, I didn't like those movies, but I can sort of see why people would, right? I mean, it depends on what you're looking for when you go to watch it. So when I watched both those movies, I didn't say these are poorly made movies.
Yeah.
Right. I didn't think that.
Marvel does have some of those, especially the
Well,
Thor one. I thought was a very poorly made movie.
which all the Thor ones, or just is there a certain one?
Oh, the
recent
last one with the especially they had the kids fighting the last battle is just
Oh my God. Oh,
terrible.
let me tell you something. I didn't know that because I turned it off before I got that far. I thought it was unbelievably bad. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, they make because even like when you think about like there's inconsistencies, like the whole thing where did you get to where Thor meets Zeus?
No, but I've seen the scene online. Yeah.
Yeah. So in the scene, Thor even says, "Oh, it's Zeus. I love him. You know, my whole thing is after him. You know, God of lightning, I'm God of thunder. So even as a character, he's saying that he looks up to him. And then you see, I mean, it's Russell Crowe, who's a great actor, but he's like an idiot. Like,
Right, buffoon.
you know what I mean? He's like a clown, and it just doesn't make sense from any outside of this just being a complete comedy, which you can't even say that because a lot of the funny stuff that's supposed to be funny really isn't. The goats were funny. I laughed every time those goats were yelling.
Yeah, that was actually pretty funny.
Yeah, but most of the other stuff was not. I don't know, very boring. Not.
Can I tell you why it does make sense?
Hmm?
So movies, I'll give you another example of this. A lot of movies do this. The Iron Man franchise is one, right? Indiana Jones is a good example of this too. The first movie is going to be the cool movie that's more edgier than all of them. And this is how you get people to go, this is an awesome thing. I want to watch more of it. And then by the time you get to movie 3, it's kid oriented. For example, you have a lot of in Indiana Jones in 2 and 3, especially in 2, there's like it's almost Keystone Cops. Okay.
Yeah.
And so you're like, okay, this is a bit much. And so this is like Iron Man was the same way. You know, it starts out edgy and cool and it turns into family film. And this is their formula for maximizing profit in the franchise. And so it's always a bummer when you go, what the fuck? You know?
Right.
But see, it's weird. They don't do it every time. Like with Captain America, the second one was way edgier than the first one.
That is true. That is, you know what? I'm going to tell you something. The scene where he fights Winter Soldier in the street.
Oh, with the knife and everything. Oh,
I lost my shit on that one.
That knife thing was so cool. It was such a small thing, and you go, "Whoa, what the fuck was that?"
It was great.
Awesome. And you know what breaks my heart is now Bucky's like the good Bucky, and I'm like, I get what they're doing, but you know what though? Does anybody think he's more interesting than the evil Bucky? The evil Bucky's a lot more fun.
Tortured soul, like he's killed people that he didn't want to. Like he's traumatized. Like he should have PTSD.
But either way, the stories are funner when he's evil, right? I mean, it's funner to see him do the knife shit and mess people up.
Oh yeah, than just shooting a gun.
Well, no, than being the buddy that you're gonna help fight the invasion with, right? And he's happy Bucky now, right? Yeah. I mean, I get the whole thing. I like the Avengers, the Endgame, and the Infinity War. Those were fun. I can pick them apart, but there were a lot of things I did like about them. And I know, and the scene where Captain America and Thor and Iron Man fight Thanos at the end, that was unbelievable to me.
Yeah, then just walking together, I was like, "Oh man, this is awesome."
When we were like 15, if we would have seen that, that's like LSD plus steroids, right? I mean, my mind would.
Yeah, you're exactly right.
I would have walked out of there totally zapped.
It is funny how little things could be amazing. Like I love an Infinity War. You have these two armies going to battle, and Captain America and Black Panther are like a mile ahead of everybody.
That
going
was awesome
this full army. Just awesome.
You're talking about the scene where they're racing each other to get to the front.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't remember who was. I think Black Panther might have been faster.
They're very close, and they're like they're just together, and it's awesome that people are so far behind them.
And this, I actually in the Avengers movies, I really did like Captain America, right? I liked the way that he was, and I actually like Black Panther quite a bit too. I thought the guy who did him was really good.
Oh, perfect casting. It sucks that he passed away.
Yep.
But they did such a good job with that stuff. And I'll tell you the thing that really killed me about the movie that you guys probably won't care about it, right? Because I don't know what your point of view is. But at the end of the movie, when Captain America's an old man sitting on the bench,
Hmm.
and was it Falcon's there, and he gives Falcon the shield or something, right?
Yep. Yep.
Okay, the Captain America star is always pointed up. American star is always pointed up, correct?
Yeah, so there's the two legs are on the bottom, and
Right. If you watch the scene, it's flipped upside down.
Oh, really?
It's a satanic star.
What?
And it's dead center in the screen, long enough for you to stare at it. And
What
I'm
the
like,
hell?
yeah, that is. I mean, these people that make the movies have their own agenda about the world, and I'm not saying that I'm right or I'm wrong, but that was my interpretation. Is that these guys, they wanted to make sure you had that star right dead center screen, because if it was anybody else, I would say whatever, right? Whatever, it could be anything, right? But the Captain America star points up.
Yeah, it's even how he holds it. It's always pointed up. You're right.
Always. And on the flags, our flags, they point up, right?
Yeah.
So take it. Maybe my conclusion's incorrect, but take it for what it's worth. And I remember thinking this is fucked up.
Well, no, you're right. I mean, a director and stuff. Every scene, everything's there for a point. You know what I mean? There's nothing in the scene that doesn't have something. You know what I mean?
Oh man.
It would be interesting because again, it might not be a satanic thing. Like I wonder if it's like Captain America's done, or because you feel like you keep the star up for the transition. Like, oh, now he's Captain America. Where to me it would be more like, well, he's not really Captain America.
Well, you would. I mean, if he's passing the spirit to fight the good fight onto the next Captain America, it would still be pointed up, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that would be like, so. I don't want you to change. I want you to take what I had and go do it, right? So, right. But that's my take on it. But I mean, there's things about the movies I did not like. And one of the things I didn't like is I didn't like the way they made Scarlet Witch into this omnipotent character, right? She could bend reality. Okay, let's get reality here. In the early parts of the Avengers comic, she can make people trip. Okay, right? So
yeah, she couldn't. I mean, in the 2000s when they did the House of M, yeah, she can do.
Right.
She's more powerful than Doctor Strange in the comics, honestly. Like
she is. I get that. It just seemed to me like, and then I just thought there was a female agenda going on.
Oh yeah, there definitely is. They've ruined her again from a writing standpoint. Like, so you have the WandaVision where she goes a little crazy.
Right.
She takes over people's lives. And then she realizes what she was doing was evil and lets her family die. Then you go into Multiverse of Madness, and she's doing it differently, but she's still like crazy and still doing the same thing. Like it's like, so what was the purpose of WandaVision?
I didn't actually see that.
WandaVision.
I didn't have
WandaVision. She takes over a town, and she kind of possesses people. She doesn't give them free will. Like they want to get out of it. And she was holding them all hostage to have her own little reality.
Okay. In the story, I did like how Jarvis became the Vision.
Oh, that was perfect.
That was kind of cool because originally it's something different, right, in the comics. And so they kind of adapted to.
Well, yeah, because Jarvis is an actual human. Honestly, Jarvis is Happy Hogan's basically Jarvis from the comics.
Okay, right.
Yeah, it's just a butler, kind of like Alfred. The Avengers butler is Jarvis. Right. He's a human.
One of the other things I was thinking about this today because I'm thinking about useless things. I was like, what they did in the movies is they turned Tony Stark into basically Reed Richards.
Oh,
right?
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, and so now if you make a Fantastic Four movie, that cool thing is gone, right? I mean, you can copy it, but
Well,
people
Reed's never been cool. Let's be honest.
Reed's
What?
never been cool.
Reed's
That is
never
true.
been cool. Reed's a dork. Let's
Reed's a
be
dork.
honest.
Yeah.
He's a dork.
Yeah, I guess.
But
What
either
do you mean?
but either way, though, I mean, and I think they made the right decision because you needed somebody in that Marvel world that could fit those boots, right? Somebody's got to be the man with the plan, you know.
Oh yeah, you have to. Marvel's always been pretty big with the smart, like, because Reed's the smartest, but then Tony's up there, Beast is up there, Spider-Man is very intelligent, Doctor Strange, like, there's a lot of intelligent superheroes in Marvel.
Right.
Bruce Banner is intelligent. Yeah, Bruce Banner is a scientist.
There is that. I remember that comic series, The Illuminati.
Yep.
Yeah. So that what you're talking about is those people.
Yeah, because Professor X is still one of the smartest people too.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's because the Illuminati is Iron Man, Doctor Strange, Professor X,
Black Bolt.
Yeah, Black Bolt. Which is Black Bolt smart? I mean, he's a leader, but I really don't know much about him.
I mean,
I'm not sure.
I don't think he's that smart. I mean,
then they have what's his name from the ocean.
Well, he's on the Illuminati, so does that say anything?
Yeah, but is he on it because he represents a whole nation? Because isn't that why what's his name's on it? The fish guy?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I can't.
Namor. Namor intelligent?
Namor's he's nothing like Mr. Fantastic. That's for sure.
Right.
Yeah, he's not Dr. Doom.
Yeah, I mean but you're right. In the Illuminati, they kind of Black Panther and Namor all of a sudden are right up there, right? But I think the way they do it is
Black Panther isn't in it originally. He does come into it, but he's not the original. The original 6 is Professor X, Tony, Reed, Doctor Strange, Black Bolt, and what's his name from not Aquaman, but what's the guy's name? The fish guy.
Namor.
Yeah, why do I keep forgetting it? Yeah. And then Black Panther comes into it. Then actually Captain America gets on the Illuminati, and then when Professor X is killed by Cyclops, Beast takes Professor X's spot on the Illuminati.
Oh, okay. Right.
But again, like Beast is one of the most intelligent persons out there too.
Well, you know what it is? I think there's intelligence and then there's wisdom, right?
Yeah.
And so I think
Doctor Strange would have wisdom. I don't think Tony has wisdom.
Right. Or somebody like Black Panther might have wisdom, but he has a certain level of technical know-how.
Yeah.
Right. But I mean, but they also they're used to sitting around contemplating larger issues.
Well, even Captain America's like when intelligence for war strategy, he might be the one, right? The most intelligent in Marvel when it comes to team strategy.
I would think so.
Pretty high.
I mean, he is
pretty high.
He's up there. He would be the guy. He would be the Batman. He would be the man with the plan.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, isn't that even the thing with the Infinity Gauntlet? Like, he's the one that's kind of then goes up to Thanos, like face to face, and that was kind of like the plan to then have Silver Surfer go and snag it. Why?
Oh, you mean the comic book?
Yeah.
Oh shoot, I don't even remember. You would know.
Yeah, I think that because Cap's like the last one, and then that's when they plan Silver Surfer, like from the other side of the universe, flies. Why Cap is talking to him and tries to get the glove, but he doesn't get it in time. Does he miss, Derek? Is that what happened? Does Silver Surfer miss it when he?
You know what? I don't know. I never read it.
It's something like my favorite thing though about the comic Infinity Gauntlet is when all these heroes get together. It's either Doctor Strange or Firestorm get Wolverine and Hulk to come up to like the roof, and they're like, all these heroes are great, but you two will actually kill him, and like we need Thanos to be killed, so one of you two are gonna have to kill him, and they're both like, yeah, okay,
sure thing.
Yeah, I just thought that's such a cool thing. Like Hulk and Wolverine are like, yeah, I'll kill somebody. That's okay. Like,
Well, you know what? For me, what it was is because I'm an artist first and foremost. I stopped reading it when George Perez stopped doing the art.
oh wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right
A
or
lot of
wrong.
people
I
do
mean,
that.
you know, it's like Ron Lim is a great artist, but I liked George Perez more, right? And I'm like, to me that
Oh, I like Perez.
yeah, I mean, you know, but that I mean, it's so gorgeous. Stuff still now the stuff is still gorgeous, right? It
Mhm.
holds up so well, and you're like,
I
I mean,
gotta be honest, it doesn't do anything for me.
no kidding.
Really?
I'm
You
one
know
of the
the
few people that will say that.
Just that
wow.
book or George Perez?
George Press, I think he's okay. I think he did great at getting a whole team together, and I know I'm saying a lot of shit that people would probably be really mad at me about right now,
Definitely, everybody hates you.
but
That's
yeah,
awesome.
his style just doesn't hit me, but I understand why everybody loves it, and it's because his consistency, and he developed those characters, and they are, you know, he was a big part of the way they look,
Hmm.
you
Mhm.
know, and I think that's a major thing.
The thing about
Um,
George Perez's artwork and his style is that it doesn't have like impact wow factor, right? Like
Right.
okay.
someone like Frank
That's what
Miller
I'm
or
saying.
something. But
Yeah.
I'll tell you what though, when he did his Wonder Woman series, right? And he
Mhm.
brings it brings things to life in a different way, right? And I love it because of all the detail, right? I mean, how much rubble did that guy draw during his lifetime,
Hmm.
right? And he did it so cool. Um, but I can totally see why everybody's got there's styles of artists I don't really care for, but
Yeah.
they're big stars, So
Yep.
I mean,
That's
this
it.
See, it's weird to me. Someone has to be really bad for me not to like it. Like whoever did the new X-Men, I hate that art, man. I hate that so much.
no kidding.
Derek, who did it? Who did the new X-Men?
The
Like
new
currently,
X-Men.
Yeah, remember where they're all
Oh,
really tall and lanky and
was that Frank Whiteley?
maybe?
Yeah. Yeah, it was.
I like his
It was.
art.
And a lot of
I don't
people
like how he
do.
did the X-Men though. Ugh.
A lot of people like his art.
Right, right.
So Mark Millar just had Frank Whiteley on one of his streams, you
Cool.
know,
You know,
and I don't know. It's all in the eye of the beholder, of course, but I don't know.
that whole thing where Mark Millar and his buddies are talking about how comics have gone off the rails or they're doing I forget what it was. He was talking
Yeah.
about how the comics are not good anymore because things are woke or something. And
Mhm.
I'm like, dude, you're like 10 years late. And where were you when people were getting fired? Right?
Hmm.
There's
Yeah.
no risk involved for Mark Millar now.
I agree with
Yeah,
you on
good
that.
point.
Although I will say, okay, there's no risk, but maybe that's what's great because now he's untouchable. And if he says something, even if they jump on him, who gives a shit? Let him jump on him and let him expose them, is what I'm
Oh,
saying.
I see. It can only benefit the cause.
Yeah, that's the way
Yeah,
I
Oh
feel.
yeah.
I got you.
Yeah.
What
Right.
did Immortal mean about Doctor Doom was both intelligent and wisdom or something else?
Yeah.
I think that's
Yeah.
what he
I think that's what
means.
it means. Yeah.
Okay.
He is. And I think Dr. Doom he should have been the follow up to Thanos, not Kang, to be honest, in this
Mhm.
movie thing.
He's one of my favorite characters of all time, Doctor Doom.
Yep, me too.
There is a strange thing about translating him to the screen that is hard to make work. I have
It
no
is,
idea.
but don't you think if they went with the real thing, it would work better? They have to get the Fantastic Four there, but once you do that, I think he would be excellent.
So when you say the real thing, describe that version of Doom.
Well, so the version of Doom to me is like there was a whole story about how he has like a issue with his mom,
Well, his
right?
mom's in
Mhm.
hell, right?
Yeah, and like there's this whole development in his character before he even becomes Doom. Um, and it's a lot of backstory, but I would like to see that come out more than focus on the Fantastic Four. Even I almost think they could do a whole movie on him.
So,
You
but
know?
how would you introduce him? Like, what would you do? Give him his own movie? What do you
I don't know. I might
put him in
introduce him
Doctor
as his own
Strange?
thing first, and then tie him into the Fantastic Four later. Or you could tie him into the Fantastic Four later or early, and then do much more backstory on him. Like we got a good backstory on Thanos, even though you didn't see everything in his history. We
Yeah,
knew what was going on with him. We knew his motivations, and I feel like as long as you know his motivations, that's what matters. So develop that.
Mm.
You know. Um,
So there's a couple of different versions of Doom, and one of the ones is that he is he has the best intentions for his people in his country,
yeah.
Latveria,
I'd
right?
say that's
but that's
constant,
after
right?
he's
That's
already
always
doomed, right?
That's after he's already Doom. But then
Right.
there's the other Doom who's a megalomaniac,
Yes.
right? And so and there's also a factor in Doom where he is like Immortal said, he's super smart, he's super wise, he knows science and mysticism, but
Mhm.
he's fucking insane,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
Like almost like the early Magneto, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there's that version too, and it kind of, the thing about it is what they do with these evil villains is, evil villains in this case, they're super powerful, but they have one flaw, like a Lex Luthor flaw, right, where they're insane, and so that's the only way you can beat them is use that against them, kind of a
But see,
deal.
that wouldn't work with him. I don't think.
Well,
Right?
how do they they beat, how do you think they beat him in the past?
I mean, I think they use his arrogance against him,
Yeah.
but I don't think it's necessarily that he's just crazy. I think he's got more going on than that. You know
Right.
what I mean?
I like the arrogance angle you just brought up.
Yeah,
That's
because
a good one.
to me, arrogance can get in the way of a lot of things, no matter how intelligent you are.
Right.
But you should always play him as intelligent with a little bit of crazy, but not totally crazy. Like,
So would you
I think
make him a
he's.
lot like Tony Stark then in the MCU, where Tony makes his own problems because he's so arrogant?
I
with his
wouldn't make him
intelligence?
make his own problems necessarily, but that's definitely one of the solutions.
I like that.
But I think that Doom to me
Do you think they
is.
should have introduced Doom in an Iron Man movie?
I think they should have brought Doom in somewhere by now, but they should have put the Fantastic Four in by now too. Here's my thing about Doom. My favorite Doom is his will and his sheer audacity to
Determination.
put himself out there, his determination, his drive.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's what makes Doom great. So you use that to every level and you build
Right.
him up to be this. He would be bigger than Thanos, in my opinion.
Right.
And so
You're
if
right.
you
He's
do
got
that,
the drive that Captain America does, where he's
Yes.
not going to move.
yes, he would mirror Captain America in a lot of ways, I think. But
Doom's got a thing where he would actually have the balls to go after the Beyonder.
yes,
Yeah.
and he defeats the Beyonder because of his will. And that's what's great about him. And that's why I want to
awesome.
see it. It is awesome. And
That's
I'm
a
like,
cool factor.
it's great, man. It's one of my favorite things. And it really did solidify him as one of my favorite villains of all time at that point.
Yeah.
To me, what's crazy about Doom is because he's so adaptable as a villain, he's pretty much been in everyone's comic except for the X-Men. Like, the X-Men have never dealt with him on anything.
And
He's
I
been
think
in
that's
Black
crazy.
Panther, Doctor Strange, Iron Man, Avengers, Fantastic Four. They've never had the X-Men and him do anything together.
I think that's really stupid because I think at the level that he is, the X-Men would definitely have to cross paths with him.
Right.
But they
Doesn't
never
make
have.
sense.
Mutants have never been on his radar.
You know what? That is not true.
Ooh.
Ah,
Yes.
nice.
My memory, because I was a big X-Men fan growing up, and I had all the Byrne X-Men. So
Yeah.
after Byrne leaves, issue like 149, 139, is that what it is? Dave Cockham comes back and does the artwork for the X-Men, and there's a issue with Storm and Doctor Doom on the cover, and Storm is like under his will, kind of like a Princess Leia next to Jabba kind of thing.
I like that.
Holy
Yeah.
crap.
Yeah.
You're totally right. I just looked it up and I remember this. Yeah, he has his cup. He's holding her and
The
she's
cup.
fainted in his arm, and he's got his mug up.
Right.
Oh, I totally forgot about this. Holy crap!
Wow.
And this is
Well,
when they have Kitty and Angel, and this was one of my favorite times. I mean, of course, I loved when Cyclops was there, but when he leaves and Angel replaces him, and you got Kitty, because that's when you got the Days of Future Past,
no,
and
if I
that's a
don't
really
tell
good
me, okay,
roster.
don't tell me. Wait, if I'm gonna guess, I'm gonna say it's like issue 152 or 153.
It's 145.
145.
That's close though, dude. That was
Yeah.
nice.
So
That was
I'll tell you my favorite Doom story of all time, and it really comes down to almost one panel. Okay, and because I'm an artist, this shit sticks in my head.
Oh
So
yeah.
there's a scene where in the Fantastic Four he teams up with Terex, the Tamer, and
Okay.
at some point Terex loses the power cosmic, and he turns himself. He becomes Tyros again. And at the end, when they've lost against the Fantastic Four, Tyros grabs his armor and he fuses it all together into one big chunk of metal. And Doom is like on the streets of New York or wherever, and he's stuck there like the Tin Man in the armor. And I was like, dude, that is so freaking cool.
I like that. I don't remember reading that, so I'd have to read it, but I bet I would like it.
It's there was a period where Byrne was on this like fire meteor, the best ever role.
Yeah.
And he did
Yeah.
it on multiple books. I mean, the guy's a legend, right? No doubt
Oh
about it.
yeah.
I mean, he's at the very top. And so his run on the Fantastic Four are just freaking
Yep.
phenomenal.
Yeah.
Well, because I'm in the whole omnibus thing, and so there's a channel I watch for it, and like there's so many omnibuses that are by Byrne. Like there's like 4 volumes of the
wow.
whole by John Byrne, and people
cool.
love that. They say it's great. I've never bought those because I'm buying all the X-Men ones and Avengers and Justice League, but yeah, John Byrne, his stuff always sells.
The thing I like about Byrne too as an individual is that he is anti-group, right? He's gonna do whatever he wants to do, and he's gonna do it his way. And if Marvel doesn't like it, they can blow smoke, right?
Well, that's
Yep.
that's why he left the X-Men. I mean, people don't realize, even though Claremont was the writer, Byrne put a lot of stuff. Like he wasn't just drawing; he was writing stuff with Claremont,
Oh
and
wow.
it
Right,
came to a
right.
head where both of them were like, whose book is this? And that's why he left. But those two together. Damn, man, Byrne and Claremont.
They had that issue where it was the funeral issue of Jean Grey,
Yeah,
and it was like a flashback issue about
yeah,
everything. Now, let me just say the cringiest thing are weddings in comics and funerals in
sure.
comics because they've been done so many times. Okay, I mean, it's almost makes you. It's just horrible. And I was like, this is phenomenal. The way he did it was phenomenal.
Mhm.
And now we can't forget that Terry Austin inked his work, and he
Mhm.
was the combination I thought was the perfect combination,
Yeah,
right? I mean, I don't know what Terry Austin's doing these days. Maybe he's not even alive or something. But but yeah, I was just even now I look back on it, and the other thing too, is the Wolverine, right? So Wolverine back then, he would get damaged in a fight, and it would take him a week to heal up,
hmm
right? And now it's like it's within minutes.
Oh yeah. Do you know they actually made a rule why that happens?
No, did they?
They recently, yeah, that it's how much he eats. So if Wolverine eats a lot, he's able to regenerate quicker and better rather than if he hasn't eaten a lot. So his body has to have a lot of resources in order to work faster. So the times he's
Wow.
healed more, he's had.
I actually hate that though.
No, I like that because I feel like then you can use it as a weakness. That if you starve him, you could really F him up.
But see, I think for one thing, it's like you can F him up, but you could also F him up before. You just you got to deal with what's going to come next. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah, but if you really hold fast to that, if you capture him and like for a week, like you could then kill him because he just can't heal because he's got no energy.
What
Which
was
to
I
me, that
talking to
makes
you about
sense.
the other day about it? Because I remember having that talk with
Yeah,
you.
we did. Well, because I'd rather have a reason than no
Yeah,
reason
but
at
what did
all.
I say about it? I forget what I said because
Well,
I thought it was kind of dumb.
you said, you said
I
cut out his
did.
stomach and you could do whatever, he won't heal. And I said, well, no, because his body's already processing the cell. So if you cut out his stomach, it's not going to impact him there because the meals were beforehand. They had to be digested already. So
But that
it
don't
would
make
be.
sense.
What
Like,
do you mean? That's how your cells. If I eat a burger right now, my body's not getting it at energy yet. It's got to be digested. And so the energy I have now is probably from my meal this morning
but
or
that's what I'm
last
saying.
night.
Like, you could just remove. I don't know. I feel like you could just
If you take his stomach out,
make
he
him
already
vulnerable.
has stuff in his cells from that meal. That meal's no
I
longer in
guess.
his stomach.
Well, okay. Answer me this. Okay. How can a guy who everybody knows heals really fast, how can a guy like that have memory problems?
Yep.
Well, isn't it because I don't know if this is this the movie though and not the book?
This
Because in the
is
movie they put bullets in his head, so the bullets are still in his brain.
really?
Yeah, remember he gets shot with adamantium bullets in his brain?
I mean, like the one with in the movie with Deadpool or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, I remember
Yeah, but
that.
the movie's stupid though.
Yeah, that's true. But
Don't do
I
the
mean,
movie.
just because your brain physically heals doesn't mean it heals.
So let's just fess up, okay? Let's just realize the fact that they had a really cool character that they wanted
Sure.
to have a mysterious past, and they couldn't
Mhm.
square it with the fact that he can heal up from anything. And
Yeah,
that's just the way it is, okay?
I
Well,
agree with
because you
that.
have different writers that will use the healing factor however they
Right.
want to.
That's true.
I mean, if you're going to fight the Hulk, your healing factor is going to have to go really quick. If your healing factor isn't that quick, the Hulk's going to kill you. Like,
Right. Um,
Yeah, but I think some of that becomes a cop out though. You just
it
gotta,
is.
you gotta look at what makes him cool for one thing. So the
Mhm.
healing factor is what makes him cool. When I think it
Well, I
lessens
think
it a
the
little
cool
bit.
thing is that he still has pain. So even though he has the healing factor, dude, he's getting cut up like a mother. Like,
Right.
so he still deals with the pain, and that's the badass part of it. You know what I mean? It's not like he's numb.
I
Yeah.
I I really like the Logan movie, right? I
Oh,
mean
okay.
that factor also was there where it hurts. You can tell it hurts,
Yeah.
and now he's not even healing up,
Yeah, the adamantium was starting to poison him.
poison him.
Yeah.
I mean, that was pretty cool. That was
That was a
nice.
cool idea.
It was, and for and the X-23 girl, she
He
was
was great.
great. The way they handled it was so good. Um, I mean, I
I
loved
didn't
it.
love the ending. I wish they gave him a peaceful ending, but it is interesting that people quote so the second Logan movie where he's in Japan
Yeah.
and the girl that could see the future told him that
Yes.
she saw him dying with his heart in his hand, and in that
Lady
movie
Deathstrike.
he takes his heart, but people said at the end of Logan as he dies his daughter's hand is in his hand, and they're like, well, that's what she saw, his
Oh
heart was in his
wow,
hand.
that's cool.
Yeah, that was an homage back to that movie.
That I know some people actually didn't like it, the Logan movie.
Mhm.
I
I
don't. Maybe they aren't comic book fan people or something. You
I
know.
didn't like it. I got to be honest.
It's a
Yeah.
Um,
very sad movie, but there's
the
some really
sadness
cool
isn't
things.
what
Like
did it to
Professor
me.
X having dementia was awesome. That was a great idea.
So what didn't you like about it?
Um, it it felt like it was a completely different timeline. It felt
Yeah.
like it was disjointed, just like every other X-Men movie that came from Fox. No continuity mattered. Nothing that came before it.
Right.
It always felt like it's a different thing. Like they're just doing a whole new movie today, you know?
Right.
And I'm like, you gotta continue these stories if you're gonna keep making movies about these people. Or let us know why it's in the future. You know what I mean? There's gotta be a reason.
They
It's just
alluded to
stupid.
it in the story, but they didn't get into it, right?
Yeah.
Well, they just said that Professor X killed all the X-Men.
Or
Right.
did they?
Yeah, they said that because when he had his first attack, I think they said he killed 7 mutants, and so that's why Wolverine was then taking him places and kept him in that room
Okay.
because he could kill people not meaning to.
Right.
Right.
It,
I don't know. It just didn't feel good to me.
So was continuity the only issue that you had with the movie?
That's a lot of it. And then I always feel like they never brought him to his full potential. And so they never really went full old man Logan in it. They never
they did
really
not,
went, and they never really went full Wolverine ever, you know? They always stayed away from the costume and they always stayed away from, so that was other
Yeah.
problems that I've had for a long time with the X-Men stuff.
What do you think about the
I
scene
don't
where
know,
they
I
show
just-
the comics and he's in the yellow and blue that she's reading?
Yes. Yeah, I like that. but that pisses you off because then you're like, really? They're gonna play with us that way? Because it pisses me off. I'm like, just put him in the damn thing. That's what we want. And you just keep not doing it.
You know
But
what?
Yeah.
I guess I can sort of see what you, because you want something different. You don't want the realistic Logan that's on down and out, right?
No, I don't mind that. I just don't think it was done that well. I think they could have done so many different things and they didn't do it. And I don't know. It just ended up being more of the same shit that was in all the other movies.
I got you, right.
That's what it was.
So the Old Man Logan book, the Mark Ballard book, right?
Mhm.
I mean, so I own a bunch of the original art pages from the comic book.
Oh, wow.
When it came out, there was about 4 or 5 of us that kind of spotted it, collectors, when I actually had money in life. And I was like, so I have some of the Red Skull fighting pages.
Oh, the Red Skull wearing Cap's stuff is awesome looking.
So there's a scene where he grabs Cap's shield, right?
Yeah.
And so all of a sudden, comes out of nowhere. And I swear to God, what I thought when I read the book was Captain America's Red Skull's gloating about Captain America still in the story, right? He's even wearing the freaking uniform with the blood on the eyes, right? So he's gloating, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, the final stroke, the spirit of Captain America stops everything. The shield, right? Like he's not there, but man, somebody's picking up the fight for Captain America. And I was like, that is so unbelievably awesome.
Yeah.
So the pages where he kills.
Well, because he doesn't really fit in the costume because even the Red Skull's old Red Skull, so he's kind of frail too looking, isn't he? Like,
yeah,
skinny.
No. I think he has a super soldier serum inside him. He has the German version.
But the mask doesn't fit him though, right? Isn't it like weirdly like?
Yeah, it doesn't. It's kind of like, you're right. It is loose on his face. And he has no nose either. So, by the way,
that's a good
your
point.
Spawn looks really cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, this Spawn's coming out great.
So Corey says, does he have spiky hair? No, he does not. Spawn has, like, if you see him in this form, he's kind of got this rough skin. It's like real jaggedy looking, and I'm just trying to lessen it a little bit. I think I put too much in it, but yeah, he definitely has like a rough skin. You just have to look at some of the detailed pictures, like Greg Capullo, the way he draws him and stuff like that.
Is it kind of like a skin that's been dried out?
Yeah, it's almost like a zombie flesh. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah.
It's like real rough and just like breaking apart, and it just looks,
Well, your
bad.
style kind of reminds me. It's a little bit. It's got a little bit of Mike Mignola in it,
Oh,
right?
really?
Yeah, and
That's interesting.
and I like the way you're using the darkness for it.
Yeah.
Or actually, I'm sorry, I shouldn't say Mike Mignola. I will say Frank Miller.
Oh,
Right?
really?
It kind
That's
of
funny.
reminds me a little bit of Sin City.
Oh, wow.
Oh, okay.
That's funny. Well, I'm just playing with inks right now because I'm trying to see what it'll come out like. And like I told you, I don't even know if I'm going to turn anything in for the Sponuary contest,
I
but
think you should.
I'm playing with it just to see what I can come up with, and I'm having some fun
Yeah.
just playing with Spawn a little bit.
In the hands, the squiggly lines you have around his arm on the left, super
Yeah.
cool. Super cool.
Wait, on the
Yeah, the
left.
bicep.
All of them. Actually, all of them. All the loose.
Oh,
Ar-
okay.
It's got such a nice, cool feel to it, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Where people go, that squiggle is an arm, right?
Yeah.
That's when it
Yes.
becomes really evocative.
And I'm trying to leave it loose so it's more fun, because I'll stiffen up and get like real, technical, and then it'll take all the coolness right out of it. So I have to leave it loose like that, or I'll ruin my own drawing.
It is a challenge.
Yes,
Yeah,
and that's
it
where I
is.
go. So I'm trying to, and I was trying to get the blacks in there so I can see like what the composition is doing.
Right.
I don't know if I'm really happy with it right now, but I don't know.
You know what?
Got more to play
Hypothetically,
with.
everything below the cloak in the
Yeah.
background in his hands could be black, right?
Right.
But then
Well,
you'd have
this
to
is what
draw.
I did. So
Oh
if you
yeah,
add
right.
this, I was adding like that energy stuff that he has coming out of his hands. And I was thinking, well, maybe he's got a ball of it between two hands and he's getting ready to just like unleash
Yeah, it
the
works.
shit. So I don't know. It's just an idea, but yeah, it works. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, they did so many cool things with the Old Man Logan comic, like having the T-Rex with Venom symbiote
Right.
on it, and
Right. The other one
and
that
how the Hulk had like an area, and Magneto owned an area of the US, and Red Skull did, and was it the Kingpin? Who else? There was four big
the Abomination, Magneto, the Hulk,
in Red Skull.
and Red Skull. I think that was it.
And it
There's
was
this,
so cool, the story that Wolverine killed all the X-Men
so cool.
because not Mephisto,
Mysterio.
Mysterio got him to think all the X-Men were X-Men villains.
Awesome idea.
Dude.
And then it breaks him, right? You're like,
Yeah,
that is
well,
just
yeah.
so. And
Wait,
then
what is that in? What book is
In
that?
Old Man Logan,
Oh,
what
okay.
happens
I
is
didn't read that.
the villains
Oh.
win by villains going against other heroes, like they did it. There's a book in the 80s, a Marvel storyline, where the villains change what heroes they go after. I forget what that's
Oh, yeah?
called. I just remember that Magneto f's up the Red Skull because he's German. Like, that's the big coolest part of it. And so Old Man Logan, all the villains do that. They all team up and go after people differently. And so
right.
so for the X-Men, all they did was have Mysterio make Wolverine think everyone in the X-Mansion were like Sabretooth, Mr. Sinister. So you get the picture of all these villains coming at him, and then after it's over, you see the wreckage of every X-Men killed by Wolverine.
But during the whole
kills them
fight,
all.
Wolverine thinks he's saving the children.
Yeah,
Oh,
he
wow.
thinks he's saving everybody, but
And he's carving.
like,
He's
get
actually
everyone out.
he's
And
carving up the X-Men while he's doing it.
yeah,
Oh, that's cool. I like that.
Well, so there's a scene when you go into the Red Skull's chamber, and he has all the trophies from all the heroes
Yeah.
that have been killed. There is a giant like thing on the wall that looks like a Fantastic Four symbol, and there's bullets in it. And one theory is that is Mr. Fantastic.
Oh, wow.
And he's been petrified.
That's awesome.
So yeah, so I I have the pages from when he explodes at the end. He explodes something. Oh, he takes that guy and puts him on the front of the truck, and he shoves it into the Bruce Banner's gang camp.
Yes.
And explodes from there all the way to when he kills Bruce Banner.
Yeah.
I got those pages, and there's like four or five people in the world that own those pages.
That's awesome that you have that.
I'm
trying to remember the story. So why does Wolverine go? Does the Hulk? They have his family or something, and that's why he has to go do what they tell him to do.
So yeah, in the beginning of the whole story, they come to collect taxes, and
yeah, the Hulk's children, right?
The Hulk's children, and they're like hillbillies.
Yeah.
And so they beat the shit out of Wolverine in front of his family. And so to get the money to pay them off, he goes with Hawkeye on this adventure to get money.
Yeah, blind old man Hawkeye.
So when he comes back at the end of this whole story, he finds out that
Hawkeye gets killed, right?
Yeah, he does. Right. At the end of the story,
he comes home.
And they're all dead anyway.
Yeah.
And so Wolverine, who hasn't used his claws in 30 years, says, fuck it.
Yeah.
And he goes fucking apeshit ballistic. He's carving people's heads in pieces. Right?
Yeah.
And all these hillbilly, all these green hillbillies that are quasi Hulks get carved to pieces. And then at the end,
4 or 5 of them, right? Like,
yeah, I think he goes through everybody. I mean,
yeah, and he really does shred them. Like they're in pieces in water. Like
they're in pieces in water, and he's like there's a scene in the movie Logan where he shoves his claws up through this guy's chin and they come out the top of his head. He does that to him.
Yeah.
And then he fights Bruce Banner, and Bruce Banner is so bored that he killed his family just to get a rise out of Wolverine. And so he fights him, and the old man Banner is getting carved to pieces, and he can't wait to turn into the Hulk, right? Because nobody's done this to him in so long.
Mm-hmm.
And so he wants to be carved up, because in a second he's going to turn into the Hulk and have a rush, right? And so then he eats Wolverine, and Wolverine carves him up from the inside.
Yeah,
I love it. That's cool.
Which it's
kind of gross, but yeah.
That kind of goes back to Infinity Gauntlet, where the villains take out everyone except for Hulk and Wolverine. Like,
is that what it was?
Hard. Huh?
Is that what it was?
Well, it's like Infinity Gauntlet. There's the scene where they talk to Wolverine and Hulk because they're like, "You guys are badass. You'll actually kill someone." Well, in that story, like the only superheroes they couldn't kill was Hulk and Wolverine. Like everyone else is dead.
Wow.
Hawkeye they couldn't. I don't know if they explain how he survived, but Cap, Iron Man's dead. All the X-Men, Fantastic Four, Doctor Strange, like yet Wolverine and Hulk they can't kill.
Jeez. Mark Millar's got some great books, and this is my one favorite. But the other one that I thought was really cool was his was it the wasn't the the Ultimates is really good, but there was a one where they had the Black Hulk, and he is an old man, and he took the Hulk. Yeah, his name is Cash.
And hey, look who made the show, Mo Biggs. I'm sorry to interrupt, but we had to say hello.
I don't know about this. He's actually black. He's not gray.
No, he's an old black man he's a scientist. And so
when you say black, he's a black human, like
African American.
Oh, okay. I'm picturing the Hulk instead of being green, being like oil black.
Right, because everything's right. No, so he takes the super soldier serum and he keeps his intelligence, and so he leaves SHIELD, who gave him the serum, and so he goes to South America and starts his own criminal organization, and so the Avengers come after him to get him to do something, and he beats the shit out of all of them, no problem. And at the end of the fight, I forget who it was, maybe it was War Machine. Somebody says, "You know what? If you don't come with us, we're going to tell your family you're alive." And the guy's like, "Fuck." I don't want them to know. And so he turns into the old man, and he gives up. And he looks like a thug gangster rapper kind of guy. He has
So
a huge.
is this a different universe? What is it?
Yeah, this is the Ultimate Universe. Did you read the
Well, there's a
Ultimate?
Gray Hulk in the Ultimate Universe.
I never really read it. I never read the Ultimates.
Because the Hulk's on the Avengers in the Ultimate Comics.
Yeah.
Boy, I mean, you could be right. Why I don't know that. Yeah, no, you're right. The Hulk is gray in the Ultimate Universe.
Mm-hmm.
If you ever want to read a great book, Mark Millar, he wrote it, and he ended up. The Hulk fights all the Avengers, and he beats the crap out of all of them, and he is awesome. He is like unbridled rage.
Yeah.
I mean, he is just so good in that book. And then somehow after Mark Millar stopped writing it, it became conventional again.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, years later, I think he picked up writing it again. This one, anyway, it's such a cool character, the Black Hulk, and it's the way they did it was so well done.
So when the African American turns into Hulk, is he green?
No, let me find a picture of him. He's really cool.
So no, we have not been keeping the gatekeeping the chat for the full 2 hours, just hour and a half. Okay, Mo?
And not we. Dirk.
Oh shit. We've been going for like 2.5 hours, dudes.
Yeah, I actually have to go soon, but it's crazy the chats we've been having just about Lord of the Rings.
Well, I think it's fun. I love that we're having a good time.
So if you want to share my screen, you can go ahead and share it.
Okay.
Oh man, with the Hulk. I've never seen that.
So that's him right there. That's him beating the shit out of War Machine.
So that's him as the Hulk though, beating the War Machine. That's what he looks like when he's Hulk up.
Yeah. I mean, and then this guy up here on the left that's the Hulk from the Ultimates, Mark Millar Ultimates comic.
Yeah, he's like a grayish.
Yeah, he's also equally powerful. I mean, this is the Ultimate Hawkeye. I mean, he's really cool.
I always liked that Hawkeye look. I always thought he looked super cool.
Awesome. But anyway, yeah, this is him taking on the Avengers, and he's down and you see South America. It's like the palm trees and whatnot.
I have never seen this.
It's cool.
That is crazy.
Years ago,
they call him Tyrone Cash.
Tyrone Cash, yeah. I played HeroClix for a long time, so because I do my 3D sculpting, I did a HeroClix of him, and I did this pose right here. Right,
that's cool,
and it came out really cool. Anyway,
the funny thing is, though, if I saw that, I would have thought that was just Luke Cage with a different look.
Sure, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's an interesting take, though.
It really is, and the way they wrote him. So the fact that his weakness was the fact that he still cared about his family and didn't want them to know he's alive was such a cool angle. You know. Anyway, I'm gonna stop sharing.
Okay. I'll add this back.
Yeah. Well, I got to get going. I haven't eaten yet, so I'm starving.
Okay.
All right, guys.
So, all right. Well, I'm sorry, guys. We didn't get to you so much in the chat, but we had a great chat on here about some information.
Corey is completely right. He's not lying.
Oh, he looks like Mr. T. Thanks, Mo. I'm glad you're into it.
I think he's talking about the Hulk.
No, he's talking about my. I think he's talking.
Your guy looks nothing like Mr. T.
I don't know. Maybe
Spawn. When did Mr. T have teeth like that?
I don't know. Oh, maybe he's saying it about that guy. Maybe he is.
Yeah,
Iron Cash.
Clearly he's saying about that.
Look at this now, Corey. After 2.5 hours, no, don't end.
What the?
We're not responding to you. We're leaving you out in the cold, and then you don't want us to end. I don't understand.
Yeah, this doesn't make sense.
He says, "Talk to the chat." I was talking about Black Hulk. Oh, okay, Black Hulk. Okay, cool.
It's
Well-
funny how we started on Lord of the Rings, and it's almost impossible because once these conversations
stay
start
there.
going, you just go, right? You're talking about the Black
Yeah.
Hulk at the end, and there's no way you can stop it.
I want to know why I thought Gimli. I swear he cut off the foot of one of the 9 and then did something to their face, but I couldn't find anything Googling Gimli with anything
Okay,
with the 9 or at Helm's
You just
Deep.
answered it right there.
What?
Okay, when the Witch King dies on the field of Pelennor, Mary stabs him in the back of the leg, and then Eowyn stabs him in the face.
So you're thinking I just thought Gimli did that? That's such a weird.
It's got to be, unless it's a totally different movie you're thinking about.
Well, no, I thought the books. For some reason in my head, I feel like they could injure the Nazgul in the books, and that they actually got killed in the books. But clearly, that's not right.
No, they correct. They do not. Yeah.
So I don't know why I'm getting where that thought's coming from.
There's probably I don't totally know, but if I had to guess, there's a lot of derivatives in the culture that are Tolkien derivatives. I'm not saying Game of Thrones is one of them, but there's fantasy type stuff, right? So maybe somebody did something,
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't know. It makes me not want to read the books again, just to see where I was coming from. They are a difficult thing to read, though. The books are so detailed that it is a hard.
There's also these themes they put in there. I know they're very Christian oriented themes.
Sure.
And they're they round everything out so much better, right? The way he describes like the walking through the forest or walking through the Shire.
Yeah.
And that's stuff that you can't really put into movies because it's visual. It's not descriptive,
Yeah.
And so you lose it. But I like the fact that Tolkien was born 100 years ago or something, right? Or and right. And his stuff is
I'm
still
laughing at the
more.
chat.
It's more evocative than like Avengers movies.
Mm-hmm.
It captures the imagination a lot more. And
I really think him and like kind of what we're doing right now. I think him and C.S. Lewis, not just about the Bible, but mythology too. They both liked both of those things, and I think talked to each other and made their worlds just by conversations they had over the things they loved. Like,
did you know that C.S. Lewis? Do you know what day he died on?
No, I have no idea.
It's a famous day in world history.
Ooh,
I don't
know.
He died on November 22nd,
really,
1963. The same day that Kennedy was killed.
Wow.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, isn't that weird?
Yeah, it is weird.
No clue.
Yeah, I didn't know. I wouldn't even have been able to guess when he died.
I mean, it probably
was he when he died then?
He must have been decently old. I mean, he lived long enough to do what he had to do in the world, right? I guess he was kind of like I'm gonna work in the cold room type of guy, right? He, like I'm not gonna spend money on fuel, he's that kind of a guy. Which is admirable,
Man, when you're that old, I wouldn't do it.
Well, yep, there it is. Yep.
Was there a Lord of the Rings comic?
I'm sure there was.
No Lord of the Rings comic.
I have no idea.
There's a guy named illustrator named David Wenzel, who did The Hobbit. He did an adaptation of The Hobbit. Really good. I mean, it looks like hand drawn fairy tale-ish kind of.
Oh, wow.
Okay. He's such a good draftsman that it looks gorgeous. Like I think the line work is grayish, pencilish. It isn't like in black and white, pure black and white. That's cool too.
I didn't mean to do that.
Do you ever, when you work, try random stuff?
Yeah, if I'm playing with tools like in Clip Studio, I will. Yeah.
Like that right there. Like if you put red like that behind him, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, I need to see if I can do that.
So is Battle of
Ooh.
Celestials? How far do you have on it?
Where are we right now? We're like
issue
page
2.
5 of issue 2.
Yeah.
Wait, say that again.
Page
ahead,
5 of
Oh,
the,
okay.
the
I
last
got you.
picture that Derek did is like page 5 or page 6. Of,
I got you. I think I backed it. I'm pretty sure I backed it.
You did?
Yeah.
Did you get it?
No.
What?
You at least double check.
Okay. Send
Because
me
I
your
don't want to.
information in
Yeah.
Twitter. Send me your stuff and just send me your email
oh
address
my God.
or whatever.
Corey Barton needs to get kicked.
Okay, but hold on. Send me your email address in Twitter. I'll go to Critical Blast and look it up and see what we got.
Yeah, you know what? What I'll do is I'll go on Indiegogo and I'll make sure I actually did it, right? Because I could be delusional.
Okay.
I could be thinking that Gimli killed the Nazgul at this point, right?
Or you'll be like Corey thinking that Lord of the Rings was boring. How ridiculous.
Dude, I want to punch Corey.
That's funny.
All right, I'm going. I got to get something to eat.
Okay, well, guys, it's been a lot of fun. We will catch you guys next week, hopefully on Tuesday night at 8 o'clock, back at our regular time. Thank you for stopping out. And Shadowpunk, thanks for coming and talking with us. It was fun.
Thanks for including me.
Yeah, man.
Oh, no,
Great
thanks for
time.
hopping on.
Anytime you want.
Awesome.
Okay, guys, we'll see you soon. Sorry, Mo, we didn't get to talk to you much. We don't want to make this a habit of Thursday, so we will not do that. But every now and then, things have to happen. So anyway, Happy New Year. We'll see you guys next week.
Hey.
Bye.
Bye.
Boom.